Chapter 335. 335 Chapter 335 Before one wave settled, another wave rose. Lord Marquis, the Ghost Moonsaber sect has been destroyed, and the entire Blazing Sun Empire has been shaken. We're in the north, not far from the Ghost Moonsaber sect. We're afraid that the 10-Direction Sword School will make a move on us, so we're so heavily guarded. Huang explained. The Ghost Moonsaber sect has been exterminated, and the army of the Inu Empire has moved south and occupied a large area of the Burning Sun Empire's territory. I guess this is the benefit that the 10-Directional Sword sect has promised the Inu Empire. They're really a bunch of traitors. Ming Meng said through gritted teeth. Has the 10-Direction Sword sect made any new moves during this time? Lu Ming asked. Not yet. Huang said. Keep an eye on the news from the outside world. The 10-Direction Sword sect's move has shaken the entire country. The other sects will definitely not remain indifferent. They will definitely join forces. This is not good news for the 10-Direction Sword sect. Therefore, the 10-Direction Sword sect will definitely make a big move next. Lu Ming analyzed. At this moment, Ming Meng's expression changed slightly. He moved his hand and a jade tablet appeared. This was a 10,000-mile sound transmission talisman, and most generals would have one in their hands to transmit messages. When Ming Meng saw the message from the 10,000-mile sound transmission talisman, his body trembled violently, and his face instantly became extremely pale, without a trace of blood. How did this happen? Ming Meng roared, his eyes filled with disbelief. Brother Ming, what happened? Lu Ming asked hurriedly, but he had a bad feeling in his heart. The Heavenly King of Suppression revolted and led the army to break into the capital and raze the palace. His Majesty the Emperor was killed. Ming Meng was practically trembling as he called out. What? Ming Meng's words were like a bolt of lightning on a clear day. It rang in the hearts of most of the people present, including Lu Ming. Lu Ming, Huang, and the rest turned pale. Heavenly King Suppression, 10-Direction Sword School. Lu Ming roared, his killing intent surging like a tide. Heavenly King Jin couldn't have done this alone. Without thinking, the one controlling everything was definitely the 10-Direction Sword School. Traitor, traitor, how dare the Heavenly King, this traitor? How dare he? Huang shouted hysterically, her eyes red. He was a member of the imperial family, and he almost went crazy. Heavenly King Jin Tian's banner is to get rid of the fatuous ruler and build a strong and powerful Burning Sun Empire. How shameless, how shameless. Ming Meng laughed from extreme anger. Father, mother. The first people that came to Lu Ming's mind were Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. How were Lu Yuntian and Li Ping doing in the General Star Hall? At the thought of this, Lu Ming was burning with anxiety. Young master, old master and madam. At the side, Chiu Yu clutched Lu Ming's arm tightly. Her entire body trembled slightly and she was extremely worried. Brother Ming, is there any more news? Did anyone from the imperial family survive? Lu Ming forced himself to calm down. It had already happened, so there was no point in worrying. Only by getting more information could he decide what to do next. According to the news, Heavenly King Jin Tian actually attacked. His Majesty and the experts of the royal family fought back with all their might, and in the end, the 8th prince managed to escape with a group of people. However, after the 8th prince and his group escaped from the imperial city, there was no news of them at all. Ming Meng said, Hua Qi has escaped. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he had a glimmer of hope. If it was possible, Hua Qi would have definitely brought Lu Yuntian and Li Ping with him when he escaped. That way, Lu Yuntian and Li Ping might still be fine. 10-Direction Sword Sect, if anything happens to my parents, I swear I'll kill all of you. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. His eyes were filled with endless cold killing intent. Lord Marquis, what should we do now? From now on, the entire mountain-suppressing army will listen to Lord Marquis's orders. Ming Meng cupped his fists and knelt on one knee. All right. Lu Ming did not decline and agreed immediately. In terms of rank, The marquee champion was higher than Ming Meng, so it was normal for him to lead the mountain-suppressing army. All generals, hear my order. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and began to give orders. Lord Marquis, please give your orders. Huang, Ming Meng, and the others all knelt on one knee. Full Moon City is located in the north. To the north is the Yingyue Empire, and to the south is the Shifang Sword School. It's very disadvantageous for us, so we shouldn't stay for long. Ming Meng, lead the mountain-guarding army to the east and head to the Forgotten Immortal Pass. The Forgotten Immortal Pass is easy to defend and hard to attack. It's a natural stronghold and has always been under the command of the royal family. We will never ally our Slaviers with the 10-Direction Sword Sect. Moreover, after we reach the Forgotten Immortal Pass, we can form a corner with the Mystical Sword Sect and join forces with them to resist the 10-Direction Sword Sect. Lu Ming instructed. He knew that the Blazing Sun Empire was about to fall into chaos, and a great war was about to break out. Your subordinate obeys, Ming Meng said. In addition, 30,000 blood-red cavalry, come with me to the imperial capital and save the 8th prince. Lu Ming ordered, his eyes filled with killing intent. Yes. Huang and the others acknowledged the order loudly, their killing intent soaring. Lord Marquis, you can't. There are many experts in the Shifang Sword Sect. This trip is too dangerous. Ming Meng's expression changed drastically as he opposed. Although the blood-red cavalry were strong, they could only charge and break through enemy lines. If the omnipresent sword sect sent a top expert to assassinate Lu Ming, it would be dangerous. The others also hesitated. It's fine. I'll kill anyone from the 10-Direction Sword Sect I see. Lu Ming said coldly. Boom, boom, boom. Just then, a loud rumble came from outside. Report, there's a large army coming from outside. A soldier came to report. It must be the 10-Direction Sword School. The 10-Direction Sword School is finally here. I knew they wouldn't leave a nail like us here. Ming Meng's expression changed. Good, blood-red iron cavalry, follow me to kill the enemy. Lu Ming ordered. Yes. Huang and the others accepted the order. Boom, boom, boom. Not long after, Lu Ming rode the blood-scaled Wolf King, followed by Xian Yanqing, Qiu Yu, the golden-eyed blood corpse, Yin Quan, Huang, Ming Meng and the rest. He led 30,000 blood-red cavalry out of the camp and arrived outside Moonview City. In front of him, dust filled the air as a majestic army appeared in sight. Black warhorses, black armor, black weapons, and a flood of pitch-black steel surged through the world. A huge flag with a divine sword embroidered on it fluttered in the wind. That's the Ghost Moon Saber Sect's Ghost Metal Army. It seems like the Ghost Metal Army has already joined the 10-Direction Sword School. Ming Meng's expression changed. That flag was the flag of the 10-Direction Sword Sect. Lu Ming nodded. The Ghost Moon Saber Sect had been annihilated. It was normal for some of the legions under the Ghost Moon Saber Sect to join the Omnidirectional Sword Sect. Boom, boom, boom. The Ghost Metal Army stopped a few miles away. They had a strong aura and were densely packed. Judging from their numbers, there should be no less than 100,000 people. Buzz, buzz. A few figures flew out from the Ghost Metal Army and hovered above Lu Ming and the rest. There were a total of 3 people, 1 old man and 2 middle-aged men. They all carried swords on their backs and were obviously experts from the 10-Direction Sword School. The 3 of them exuded extremely powerful auras. One is at the peak of the 8th level of the Martial Ancestor Realm, and 2 are at the peak of the 7th level. Ming Meng cried out in alarm, his expression extremely ugly. Chapter 336. 336 Chapter 336 One slap to death. The 3 men from the Omnidirectional Sword Sect swept their gazes across Lu Ming and his group before finally stopping on him. You're Tian Yun? The leading old man asked. Not bad. Lu Ming said calmly. He wanted to see what the other party was selling. Tian Yun, you've repeatedly opposed my 10-direction sword school and killed our geniuses and experts. Do you admit your crimes? The old man in the lead glared at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. Admit to your crimes? I haven't even said that killing a few dogs hit things from your Shifang sword sect would dirty my hands, and you want me to admit to my crimes? What crime? Lu Ming replied indifferently. He did not take the other party seriously at all. You. The leading old man's face turned ashen, and he exuded an ice-cold killing intent. After a long time, he calmed down, waved his sleeves, and said in a deep voice, Tian Yun, there are no eternal enemies in the world, only eternal interests. Today, I can give you a chance to atone for your sins. As long as you lead the blood-red cavalry and pledge your loyalty to the 10-direction sword sect, and make a blood oath, I can consider letting you go. All the crimes you've committed in the past can be written off. After the old man finished speaking, everyone understood what the other party meant. Now that the Red Blood Army was powerful and famous in the Sun Nation and the Moon Nation, the omnidirectional sword sect was planning to recruit Lu Ming. Lu Ming sneered. I want you to let me go? Who the hell do you think you are, you old thing? Do you really think you're some big shot? All right, are you done with your nonsense? If you're done, you can go and die. Lu Ming glanced at the other party and lost his patience. Little bastard, you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Then I will kill you today. After I kill you, the Red Blood Legion will still belong to my 10-direction sword sect. Die. The old man's face completely darkened. He shouted angrily and slashed out with his sword. This sword fully displayed the elder's strength of the 8th level of the martial ancestor realm. It had the power to split mountains and break rivers, which was extremely shocking. Not good, be careful. Ming Meng roared. Young master. Dodge. Lord Marquis. Qiu Yu, Xian Yanqing, Huaying, and the others were all shocked. No matter how strong Lu Ming was, it was impossible for him to be a match for a martial arts grandmaster at the peak of the 8th level. However, Lu Ming was still riding on the crimson-scaled Wolf King. Die! The old man's expression was ferocious. The sword light became even more dazzling and quickly slashed at Lu Ming's head. Seeing that it was about to hit Lu Ming's head, the old man was overjoyed. He was screaming in his heart. What peerless genius! If he hadn't grown up, what kind of genius was he? You're still going to die in my hands. However, as soon as he had this thought, he saw a slap coming from Lu Ming's side. Bang! This slap was on his sword light. The sword light was like tofu and instantly shattered. The old man was stunned. Ming Meng, Qiu Yu, and the others were also stunned. It's just a fly making a big fuss here. It's so annoying. Yan Quan appeared beside Lu Ming and said indifferently. The slap just now was, of course, from Yan Quan. For you. I'm an elder of the 10-direction sword school, you dare. The elder from the 10-direction sword sect was stunned for a moment before he shouted. However, before he could finish, Yan Quan's palm struck again. Pa! No one could clearly see how this slap was swung. It was too fast. They only felt their vision blur, and then they heard a clear slap. Then, the elder from the 10-direction sword sect let out a blood-curdling scream and was sent flying. In the air, his head exploded like a watermelon, and red and white matter flew everywhere. This. Ming Meng and the others almost bit their tongues, their eyes almost popping out. An expert at the peak of the martial ancestor 8 Dan was considered a top-notch expert in the Blazing Sun Empire. In the 5 major sects, he was definitely a high and mighty existence. His status was even higher than that of an ordinary golden-robed elder. The average golden-robed elder was only at the 7th level of the martial ancestor realm. A peak martial ancestor 8 Dan expert had actually been killed by a single slap. This was too shocking. The elder beside Lu Ming was actually such a terrifying expert. Previously, when Ming Meng and the rest saw Yan Quan, they had only guessed that he was an ordinary martial arts grandmaster. They had never expected him to be so terrifying. Following that, they looked at Lu Ming with even more respect. Lu Ming could actually get such a person to follow him. How did he do it? The 2 remaining men from the 10-direction sword sect were scared out of their wits. They roared and turned to run. "How is it possible for you to escape in front of me?" Yen Quan coldly smiled and threw a punch. Boom! Boom! 2 fist forces shot out. The 2 burly men at the peak of martial ancestor 7 Dan were directly drowned by the fist energy. When the fist energy disappeared, not even dregs were left of the 2 burly men. To be able to deal with 2 experts at the peak of the 7th level of the martial ancestor realm so easily, it once again left everyone dumbfounded. Lu Ming was the only exception. What a waste, what a waste. Lu Ming's heart ached terribly. Yen Quan's punch had even burned his blood essence clean. How could Lu Ming not feel heartache? These were 2 experts in the 7th level of the martial ancestor realm. The commotion here naturally shocked the ghost metal army several miles away. Not good. Tianyun has made his move. Kill them all. Of course, there were also experts from the omnidirectional sword school in the ghost metal army. They roared and led the army to charge at Lu Ming and the others. Charge, crush them. Lu Ming shouted coldly. The blood-red scaled wolf howled madly, and its roar shook the sky as it charged towards the ghost metal army. The power of the aura was earth-shaking. Not good, the mount is frightened. Charge, animal, hurry up and charge. The 30,000 scarlet blood-scaled Wallevers howled, causing the ghost metal army's mounts to be frightened, and their formation to become unstable. And in this short moment, the blood-red scaled wolf had already arrived. Boom! The 2 armies collided with each other. At this moment, the winner was decided. The ghost metal army was like a piece of paper, while the blood-red cavalry were like a blade. As soon as they touched, a hole was torn in the ghost metal army, and this hole was rapidly expanding. Hold on, you trash. An expert from the 10-direction sword sect shouted. What are you shouting for? At this moment, Yen Quan's figure appeared beside him. Arg! Help me! Just as he was about to shout, Yen Quan's head was cut off with a wave of his hand. Yen Quan leaped through the tens of thousands of soldiers and killed the martial grandmaster expert. No one could stop him. Half-step kings were also something that only half-step kings could block. Fighting against an army of 10,000 was simply cheating. Because the difference was too great, it was no longer something that could be so levered with numbers. Unless they had the Mo family's battle formation and dozens of martial arts grandmasters, they would not be able to fight back. Roar! The bloodline of the 9 dragons hovered above Lu Ming's head. With a loud roar, a terrifying devouring power erupted. Immediately, the bloodline power and blood essence of hundreds of Ghost Iron Legion soldiers were forcibly devoured. Lu Ming left behind a trail of corpses wherever he went. This was a one-sided battle. The Ghost Iron Army could not stop the Red Blood Army at all. The battle cries shook the sky, corpses were strewn all over the ground, and blood chi filled the air. Chapter 337 337 Chapter 337 Yutong Pass. I surrender, I surrender. Finally, someone from the Ghost Iron Army shouted, threw away his weapon, and jumped off his horse. I'm also going. After the first one, there would naturally be the 2nd, 3rd, 10th, and 100th. The Ghost Metal Army was originally an army of the Ghost Moon Saber sect. It was already good enough that they didn't have any enmity towards the 10-direction sword sect. How could they have any loyalty? Once they saw that the situation was not right, they naturally surrendered. We won't kill those who surrender. Lu Ming roared loudly, his voice spreading throughout the entire area. We won't kill those who surrender. Ming Meng, Hua Ying, and the others also shouted. This time, even more people from the Ghost Iron Army surrendered. Large numbers of people dismounted and knelt on the ground. In the army, the people from the Omnipresent Sword sect saw that they had lost the battle and wanted to escape. However, they were all killed by Lu Ming and the others. In this battle, they had destroyed the Ghost Metal Army of 100,000 without much effort. Ming Meng, I'll leave the surrendered ghost metal army to you. Bring them to the forgotten Immortal Pass. They will be a powerful force in the future. Lu Ming instructed. Yes, Lord Marquis. Ming Meng cupped his fists and accepted the order. At the side, the three siblings, Ming Cheng, Ming Zhu, and Ming Feng, had complicated expressions on their faces. This young man who used to cultivate with them in the General Star's hall had now completely surpassed them. Even their father had to listen to Lu Ming now. However, they did not feel jealous at all. They were only happy for Lu Ming and encouraged them slaviers. Blood-red cavalry, come with me to the capital and save the 8th prince. Do you dare? Lu Ming waved his long spear and shouted. I dare. He dared. I dare. The 30,000 blood-red cavalry roared. All right, since you dare, then we'll break through all the obstacles and kill our way to the imperial capital. We'll kill any god or Buddha that blocks our way. Lu Ming roared. I'm willing to chase whoever my lord is. I'll kill whoever stands in my way, even if God or Buddha blocks my way. The 30,000 blood-red iron cavalry felt their blood boil as they waved their weapons and roared. At this moment, even Ming Meng, who had been a veteran for many years, felt his blood burning. He could not wait to follow Lu Ming and kill to his heart's content. However, he knew that he had more important things to do. Charge! Lu Ming waved his spear. The blood-scaled wolf king howled and charged forward like a gust of wind. On the side, Qiu Yu, Xian Yanqing, Yan Quan, and the golden-eyed blood corpse followed closely behind. Charge! The howls of the Walevers continued as the 30,000 blood-red cavalry charged forward with Lu Ming, carrying a crazed aura. The wind is blowing. Ming Meng muttered to himself as he looked at the 30,000 blood-red cavalry. After which, he also started to move. He gathered his men and picked out his items. Then, he led an army of more than 100,000 soldiers toward the gazing Immortal Pass. The blood-red-scaled wolf's speed was as fast as the wind, and it could easily travel 1,000 miles in an hour. In a few hours, they had galloped for thousands of miles. The cities along the way did not dare to stop the blood-red cavalry when they saw them. The journey was unimpeded, and they passed through dozens of big cities. Soon, they were close to Yutong Pass. Yutong Pass was a famous pass in the north of the Burning Sun Empire. This place was surrounded by continuous precipitous mountains, thousands of meters high, and Yutong Pass happened to be in the middle of the two peaks. It could be said that on Yutong Pass, one man could hold the pass, but 10,000 could not open it. In history, the Innu Empire had also captured many cities in the north, but they were all blocked outside Yutong Pass. Now, the general in charge of Yutong Pass was called Wuxia. His cultivation was at the 6th level of the martial arts Grandmaster realm. He led 120,000 soldiers and guarded Yutong Pass. He ruled over dozens of big cities in the vicinity. He could be said to be a big shot with great power. Moreover, he had long since joined the 10-Direction Sword School. As such, his reputation had grown even more glorious, and he was considered a top figure in the entire Blazing Sun Empire. Wuxia had a hobby, which was to hold banquets on the walls of Yutong Pass and invite famous people. Standing on the walls of Yutong Pass, looking down at the vast land and listening to others' flattery, he felt like he was the king of the world and had thousands of miles of mountains and rivers. He was fascinated by this feeling. Today, on the city wall of Yutong Pass, he set up a banquet and invited the city lords and martial arts powerhouses of more than a dozen nearby big cities to attend. On the city wall, there were several tables. Congratulations, General Wan. Congratulations, General Wan. A middle-aged man with a big belly raised his glass and congratulated Wuxia. Patriarch Xin, what's the joy? Wuxia asked despite knowing the answer. General Wan is really humble. Everyone knows the current situation. A while ago, the 10 Directions Sword School destroyed the Ghost Moon Saber sect in one fell swoop. A few days ago, the Heavenly King broke into the imperial capital and killed Hua Jingxing. Now, the change of dynasty is already set in stone. Now, the Heavenly Fiend sect and the Omnipresent Sword sect have joined forces and occupied the imperial capital, ruling the world. Now, only the Mystical Sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley can rival the Omnipresent Sword sect. However, in my opinion, the Mystical Sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley are no match for the Omnipresent Sword sect. By then, the Omnipresent Sword sect will unify the Blazing Sun Empire and rule the world. General Wan, as the confidant of the Omnipresent Sword sect, won't you be thriving? Isn't this worthy of congratulations? The big-bellied middle-aged man laughed. That's right, Patriarch Chen is right. When General Wan rises to the top, don't forget about us. At the banquet, the others also began to flatter him. This made Wan Xiu feel a little smug. She stroked her sparse beard and grinned from ear to ear. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the ground let out a deep rumble. The wine on the table started to shake. Everyone's expression changed. Report. At this moment, an armored soldier quickly came to report. What happened? Wan Xiu asked. Reporting to the general. There might be an army coming from the north. The armored soldier reported. An army is coming? How was that possible? The Ghost Moon Saber sect has already been destroyed, and the north is now completely under the control of the Ten Direction Sword sect. Could it be the great army of the Yin Moon Empire? Wan Xiu's eyes moved as she thought. Impossible. I heard that the Yin Empire and the Shifang Sword School have an agreement that they won't attack us now. Whose army is it? Wan Xiu's eyes kept moving. General Wan, there's another army in the north. It's the Red Blood Legion led by Marquis Champion Tianyun and Ming Meng's mountain-suppressing army. Could it be them? A city lord of a big city guessed. As soon as he said that, the others' expressions changed drastically. Tianyun? Could it really be Tianyun? It said that the blood-red cavalry led by Tianyun are incredibly powerful and invincible. In front of them, the Inuit cavalry are as fragile as tofu. If it really is Tianyun's blood-red cavalry, then we should run for our lives. Another city lord cried out in fear. Why are you panicking? In my opinion, Tianyun and his blood-red cavalry have been exaggerated. What, invincible? They've only won a few battles by luck. Besides, so what if he's really as strong as the rumors say? Tianyun's blood-red iron cavalry can only obediently retreat in front of our Jade Tong Pass. If he wants to force his way in, I'll make sure he dies without a burial ground. Men, set up the defense. Wan Xiu was calm and composed. She sneered and then gave the order. Very quickly, Yutong Pass was filled with armored soldiers. That's right, Yutong Pass can't be broken. I've been overthinking. The city lord heaved a long sigh of relief. Boom, boom, boom. The rumbling grew even louder, and the entire world seemed to be shaking. Ow! In the distance, the howls of Walevers rose and fell, connecting into one. Chapter 338. 338 Chapter 338 News of Hua Qi. There were countless crimson-scaled Walevers, and each one of them was majestic and tall, and each one was filled with a baleful aura. The aura of 30,000 blood-scaled Walevers and 30,000 Master Realm cavalrymen gathered together and galloped on the ground. This kind of aura was simply earth-shaking. It was like a tsunami that was a few hundred meters tall, sweeping through the world as if it could destroy everything. Wan Xiu's pupils dilated rapidly, revealing an extremely frightened expression. These are the blood-red cavalry? His voice trembled, his face pale and cold sweat flowing. Some of the other city lords were also trembling, and their faces were pale. They had been confident that Yutong Pass was unbreakable, but their confidence crumbled when they saw the situation in front of them. The blood-scaled wolf's aura was too terrifying. Before, Wan Xiu had said that the outside world was exaggerating about the blood-red cavalry. Now, they only wanted to roar. What exaggeration! They had clearly underestimated him. Block it, we must block it. But Wan Xiu shouted with all his might. Then he turned around and ran. Wait for me. The other city lords also turned around and left. With all the generals gone, there was no suspense in this battle. The dangerous terrain of Yutong Pass was not enough to stop the blood-red scaled wolf. One had to know that the blood-red scaled wolvers lived on the highlands and ran through the dangerous terrain as if they were on flat ground. Half an hour later, Yutong Pass was razed to the ground. The blood-red cavalry whizzed past, heading straight for the imperial capital. The blood-red cavalry had great endurance, and after galloping for half a day, they would stop to rest. 3 days later, the blood-red iron cavalry had already galloped tens of thousands of miles and were getting closer and closer to the imperial capital. Boom, boom, boom. There was a violent explosion in front of them. "There's cavalry coming," Huang said. "Could it be that the 10-direction sword sect sent people to surround us?" Someone guessed. However, the answer was soon revealed. The neighing of horses could be heard in front of them. The aura of the blood-scale wolf cavalry had shaken them, and they were thrown off their horses. Lu Ming and the group were speechless. The combat ability of this army was really not that good. Moreover, there weren't many of them, probably only about 10,000. Were they really sent by the Shifang sword sect to surround them? "You must be joking." Lu Ming led the blood-red cavalry and stopped. They did not attack. After a long time, the troops in front were organized, and a few burly men in iron armor galloped out on green-scale horses. "Who are you people? You dare to block our path?" A short and fat man glared and shouted angrily. It turned out that they had not recognized the blood-red cavalry. That's right, unless there were soldiers at the border, it was normal for the soldiers near the capital to not recognize the blood-red cavalry. "I still want to ask, who are you people? You dare to stand in my way?" Lu Ming rolled his eyes and shouted, "We are the army under the Heavenly King. We are ordered to capture the rebels of the royal family. Get out of the way now. If you delay the Heavenly King's plan, even if you have 10 heads, it won't be enough." The short and fat man shouted. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. "Capture the rebels of the royal family? Could it be Huaqi? Do you know where the 8th prince is?" Lu Ming asked. The short and fat man's eyes revealed a vigilant look, and he said, "Speak, who are you? Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." "Kill. Leave the general in front alive." The short and stout man had just finished speaking when Lu Ming roared loudly. "Awoo!" Wolf howls rang out as the blood-scale wolf cavalry began to charge. Without the slightest suspense, the blood-red cavalry only needed to charge to cause this army of 10,000 to fall apart. Those who died in battle died, those who fled, and those who submitted. The few generals in the lead were all captured alive. "What? You guys are blood-red cavalry?" At this moment, the short and fat man seemed to have remembered something and shouted in horror. "Your reaction isn't too slow. Alright, tell me, where are the 8th prince and the others?" Lu Ming stared at the stout man and asked coldly. "What the hell are you? You're Tianyun?" The short and fat man's body trembled nonstop, and his eyes were filled with fear. "Speak!" Lu Ming shouted coldly. I'll tell you. Please spare my life." The short and fat man screamed. "Speak!" Lu Ming's killing intent burst out, and it was extremely cold. I'll tell you. We received news that the 8th prince has taken his men to hide in the East River mountain range. We were ordered to send our army into the mountain range to surround and annihilate them. We're just one of the many armies. Many other armies have set off before us." The short and fat man shouted. "The Eastern River mountain range." Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anxiety as he shouted, "Lead the way. Let's set off for the Eastern River mountain range." The short and stout man naturally did not dare to disobey. He immediately led the way, and the blood-red cavalry galloped towards the East River mountain range. The East River mountain range wasn't far from here. With the blood-red scaled wolf speed, it would only take an hour to cover the distance of 1,000 li. The Eastern River mountain range wasn't very famous. Although this mountain range was vast, its peaks weren't high, and it wasn't very dangerous. There weren't any powerful demonic beasts either, and even ordinary people could enter. A small hill was surrounded by an army of at least tens of thousands of people, so tight that not even a drop of water could pass through. In the air, there were also more than 20 powerhouses standing in the air. Huaqi, I advise you to surrender. Don't make any pointless struggles. You've lost, and your fate has been decided. In the air, a big man with fluttering sleeves and a sword on his back shouted. That's right, Huaqi and the others were on the hill. There were about 2,000 of them, and all of them were in tattered clothes. There were still some bloodstains that had not dried up. It was obvious that they had experienced a fierce battle during this period of time. Huaqi stood at the forefront of the hill. Beside him, there were more than a dozen middle-aged men and elders. Each of them had a powerful aura that was as large as a mountain. This was the imperial family's only remaining expert. Behind them were two figures. They were Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. At this moment, the two of them were extremely haggard, their faces pale, and their bodies weak. Lu Yuntian had already lost his cultivation base while Li Ping was just an ordinary person. One could only imagine how much suffering the two of them had gone through to escape with Huaqi and the others. Eighth Prince, you should run away first. With these seniors leading you, there's still a chance for you to escape. When you find Ming, ask him to take revenge for us. Lu Yuntian said to Huaqi. Uncle Lu, Huaqi, am not the kind of person who would drag out an ignoble existence. Furthermore, since Brother Lu has entrusted you to me and he is fighting alone at the border, I must ensure your safety. Otherwise, how can I face him? Huaqi smiled and stood up straight. Lu Yuntian sighed. Brother Tian. Li Ping grabbed Lu Yuntian's hand tightly. Ping, I'm already satisfied to be able to see you again. It's a pity that I've implicated you. Lu Yuntian looked at Li Ping and asked. Brother Tian, I'm not afraid. As long as I'm with you, it doesn't matter whether I live or die. Li Ping said. Lu Yuntian looked at Li Ping with pity and said, I believe that Ming will avenge us. One day, will flatten the 10-direction sword school. I also believe that. Li Ping nodded. Chapter 339. 339 Chapter 339 Kill Without Mercy. You really refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Huaqi, then I'll send you to accompany your dead imperial father. The middle-aged man from the 10-direction sword sect was instantly enraged when he saw Huaqi ignore him. A sharp killing intent exploded from his body. 10-direction sword sect, traitor. As long as I don't die today, I'll definitely flatten the 10-direction mountain. You're courting death. Seeing the other party insult his father, Huaqi's eyes gleamed with cold killing intent. Haha, you think you can flatten the 10-square mountain? This is the funniest joke I've ever heard in all my decades of life. The middle-aged man laughed. And do you think you can escape today? The area within several li has already been completely surrounded by an army of 100,000 soldiers, and the experts of my 10-direction sword school have sealed off the sky and the ground. You can't escape, and no one can come in, huh? The middle-aged man laughed mockingly. Oh, really? Then how did I get in? Suddenly, a cold voice came from above their heads. Who is it? The swordsman suddenly raised his head and looked up. High up in the sky, 3 figures stood in the air. One was a young man, one was an old man, and the other was a burly man who was covered in a black robe and a bamboo hat. On the hill, Huaqi, Lu Yuntian, and Li Ping shuddered when they heard the voice. They hurriedly raised their heads and cried out in alarm. Lu Ming. Ming, The 3 people in the sky were Lu Ming, Yan Quan, and the golden-eyed blood corpse. As they neared the eastern river mountain range, Lu Ming led Yan Quan and the golden-eyed blood corpse to search for Huaqi and the others in the sky, pointing out the direction for the blood-red cavalry. He quickly found Huaqi and the others. With their cultivation, the experts from the 10-direction sword school did not notice them at all when they approached from the sky. Who are you? This place has already been occupied by my 10-direction sword sect. You came here without permission. Are you looking for death? The swordsman roared. He had never heard of Lu Ming. Just now, he had just said that no one could enter and Lu Ming and the rest had appeared. It was as if he had slapped his own face. This made him angry from embarrassment. However, Lu Ming did not even spare him a glance. With a flash, he appeared on the hill and went to Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. "Father, mother, are you all right? I'm late." Lu Ming's voice trembled. When Lu Ming saw Lu Yuntian and Li Ping, he heaved a sigh of relief as the huge rock in his heart was finally lifted. Before he met Lu Yuntian and Li Ping, he was truly worried that something would happen to the two elders. "Ming, you were fine. Why you here? Don't worry about us. Hurry up and leave." Li Ping said anxiously. "Mother, don't worry. Since I'm here, they won't be able to touch a single hair on your head. Wait a moment, we'll leave together." Lu Ming smiled. At this time, the sword-bearing man from the 10 Directions sword sect was so angry that his mouth almost twisted. Boom! An aura as deep as the ocean erupted from his body, terrifying beyond compare. 9th level of martial arts grandmaster. This burly man with a sword on his back was actually a peerless expert of the 9th level of martial arts grandmaster. "Kid, I'm asking you a question. Are you deaf?" The swordsman coldly said. "Who do you think you are? You asked me and I have to answer?" Lu Ming cast a faint glance at him. "You're looking for death." Lu Ming's indifferent expression almost made him explode in anger. With a loud roar, he unsheathed the huge sword on his back and a terrifying sword light slashed towards Lu Ming. The entire hill would be reduced to ashes if this sword were to land. "Be careful. Block it." The dozen or so martial arts grandmasters behind Huaqi immediately roared and unleashed their powers, preparing to block the sword light. There was even a 9th level martial ancestor realm expert among them who was only injured and his aura was a little weak. This person must be a peerless expert of the imperial family. However, there was a figure that was faster than them. The golden-eyed blood corpse flashed and appeared in front of everyone. With a wave of its hand, a claw radiance shot out. Boom! With a loud sound, the golden-eyed blood zombie didn't move at all, but the swordsman's body was sent flying 100 meters away. "How can he be so strong? Who are you?" The swordsman shouted in disbelief. Even though he had not used his full strength in that attack, there were not many people in the entire Blazing Sun Empire who could force him back with a single strike. However, the golden-eyed blood corpse did not move. It was too lazy to bother with him. "Tunyun. He's Tunyun." A shocked roar came from the army at the foot of the mountain. Obviously, someone had recognized Lu Ming. Lu Ming had stayed in the imperial capital for such a long time. It was normal for someone to recognize him. "Tianyun? You're Tianyun?" The swordsman's face suddenly changed. He then revealed a malevolent expression and shouted, "Tianyun, so what if it's you? I admit that the person you brought is very strong, but do you think he can save more than 2,000 people by himself? I have 100,000 soldiers here. As long as I give the order, the 100,000 soldiers will charge together. How many people can you save? As soon as you leave, I'll exterminate them all." Oh, Lu Ming replied faintly. As for Huaqi and the others, their expressions were extremely unsightly. On the hill, the other 2,000 or so people had heavy expressions. "8th Prince, you should leave with Marquis Champion first. Don't worry about us. We're members of the royal family when we're alive, and we'll be ghosts of the royal family when we die." "That's right, 8th Prince. Marquis Champion is a peerless genius. As long as you escape, with the help of Marquis Champion, you'll definitely be able to take revenge for us in time. 8th Prince, you can go first." On the hill, more than 2,000 people shouted, letting Huaqi go first. "If we're leaving, we'll leave together. I definitely won't abandon everyone and escape alone." Huaqi sternly said, his expression firm. Haha. Seeing this, the swordsman laughed arrogantly. "Since I'm here, I'll definitely bring everyone out of here alive." Suddenly, Lu Ming spoke. His voice was firm and everyone heard it. Tunyon, with that expert you brought with you, it's true that I can't stop you from taking a few people away. However, you're dreaming if you think you can take more than 2,000 people away. Haha. The swordsman laughed in disdain. Who said I only brought 2 people? Lu Ming smiled faintly. What? The swordsman was stunned. Awur. Right at this moment, wolf howls rang out, reverberating through the clouds. Boom, boom, boom. Immediately, a violent rumble came from the ground. What's going on? The swordsman's expression changed drastically. What is this? Hua Qi was startled, but then he seemed to think of something and revealed a look of ecstasy. Kill! In the forest, the earth rumbled and the sounds of battle could be heard. Not good. These are the blood-red cavalry. Tianyun's blood-red cavalry. Block them. Block them. At this moment, the swordsman seemed to have thought of something, and his expression changed drastically as he roared. Blocked? Can it be blocked? Blood-red cavalry, hear my order, kill without mercy. Lu Ming gave a long whistle and issued an order. Kill without mercy. The blood-red cavalry roared, their killing intent surging. In the next moment, heaven-suppressing battle cries came from the forest. The 100,000 soldiers in the forest were completely stunned by the sudden charge of the blood-red cavalry and were unable to form an effective counterattack. In an instant, a large number of people died. Chapter 340. 340 The Secret of the Duanmu Family. The blood-red scaled wolf was able to walk through the forest as if it was flat ground, and its combat strength did not decrease at all. It was a completely one-sided battle. The swordsman's face turned pale and he growled, "Damn it, let's retreat." Retreat? Where are you going? A cold voice sounded. Yen Quan appeared behind the swordsman. Old man, you think you can stop me? You really think I'm a pushover? The swordsman was furious, and he violently slashed his sword forward. An extremely bright sword light slashed towards Yen Quan. It was even stronger than the previous one. He wanted to kill Yen Quan with one sword strike and escape as soon as possible. He was afraid that the golden-eyed blood zombie would catch up with him, which would be troublesome. But the next moment, his pupils rapidly contracted. Yen Quan's fist shot out, and a fist force, vast and scorching, bombarded towards him. Bang! The fist force hit the sword light and directly shattered it. The fist force did not stop and continued to hit the sword-carrying burly man. How could this be? How can he be so strong? The swordsman cried out in horror, his voice full of disbelief. He had already used all his strength in that sword attack just now. He had originally planned to kill Yen Quan with one sword attack, but he never dreamed that it would be shattered by Yen Quan's fist. Why would Tianyun have so many experts by his side? I have to stop it. We must inform the sect leader of this matter first. The swordsman growled and blocked with his sword. Clang! The terrifying fist force hit his combat sword, causing it to shake continuously. His body shook violently and was sent flying backward like a cannonball, blood spurting from his mouth. Half-step king. It's a half-step king. The swordsman was scared out of his wits. Without thinking, he turned around and ran. I told you, you can't leave. Yen Quan sneered, his figure was like lightning. In a few breaths he caught up to the sword-carrying man. Boom! Boom! After a few consecutive punches, the swordsman screamed as a few big holes appeared on his body. He died on the spot. Kill! Let's attack together! Hua Qi shouted. More than 2,000 people on the hill attacked at the same time, charging toward the experts of the 10-direction sword school and the army. Corpses were everywhere, truly everywhere. The smell of blood was so thick in the forest that it was like a living hell. The golden-eyed blood corpse roared and tore apart a few martial grandmasters from the 10 directions sword sect with a wave of its hand. With a roar, the golden-eyed blood corpse devoured the surging blood qi and condensed a dense blood qi on its body. Lu Ming did not make a move. He stood beside Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. There was no need for him to take part in this great battle. Not long after, the mountain forest was covered with corpses. Other than a small portion of the 100,000 troops that the 10 Direction Sword sect had brought, most of them had remained here. The experts of the 10 Direction Sword sect had all been killed, and not a single one was left. Lu Ming, I knew you would come. Hua Qi did not make a move. He walked to Lu Ming's side and said. No one else heard their conversation. Hua Qi, I didn't expect the 10 Direction Sword School to be so bold. When I heard the news, it was already too late. Lu Ming sighed. Since things have come to this, we can only move forward. Sooner or later, I will make the 10 Directions Sword sect pay with their blood. Hua Qi said through gritted teeth. Lu Ming patted Hua Qi's shoulder and said in a serious tone, Don't worry. Your problems are my problems. I will definitely destroy the 10 Direction Sword School. This time, Hua Qi had brought Lu Yuntian and Li Ping along even in the midst of danger. Lu Ming was very touched by this and had already treated Hua Qi as a brother who would live and die for him. I believe you. Hua Qi revealed a smile, but in the next moment, his expression suddenly changed, as if he had thought of something. He said, Lu Ming, I have something important to tell you. What is it? Lu Ming asked. It's about the mystical sword sect. Hua Qi said. Mystical sword sect. Lu Ming was puzzled. That's right. Not long ago, my father received news that the Duanmu family of the Mystic Essence Sword sect has long since joined the 10 Direction Sword sect. They've been working for the 10 Direction Sword sect in secret all these years. If my father hadn't planted a chess piece in the 5 major sects, I'm afraid he wouldn't have discovered it. Hua Qi solemnly said. What? Lu Ming was shocked. Lu Ming, this should be true. My father was planning to inform the sect leader of the mystical sword sect about this, but before he could, the Heavenly Suppression King, that bastard, started his rebellion. Hua Qi said through gritted teeth. The Duanmu family actually sided with the 10 Direction Sword School? I should have thought of it. Lu Ming's heart was in turmoil as he muttered in his heart. He had been suspicious since a long time ago. He had learned from Hua Qi that the Silavir Wolf Pavilion was an assassin group trained by the 10 Direction Sword sect. However, the head of the Duanmu family had repeatedly sent assassins from the Silavir Wolf Pavilion to kill him. However, he had previously thought that the Duanmu family had hired the Silavir Wolf Pavilion assassins. Now, it seemed that they had not been hired with money at all. Not good. The mystical sword sect is in danger. Suddenly, Lu Ming's expression changed. Lu Ming, I'm worried about this too. The 10 Direction Sword sect has the ambition of a wolf. We don't know when they started to set up. First, it was the Ghost Moonsaber sect, and they had a spy from the 10 Direction Sword sect. Then it was my royal family. The Heavenly Suppression King has long been a member of the 10 Direction Sword sect. Now, the Omnipresent Sword sect will definitely use the same method to defeat the Mystical Sword sect. Once the Mystical Sword sect is destroyed, the Blazing Sun Empire will only have one Crimson Cloud Valley left. It will be difficult for one tree to hold the fort alone, and it will be destroyed sooner or later. At that time, the Omnipresent Sword sect will unify the Blazing Sun Empire, and we will really be defeated. Hua Qi said, his voice filled with worry. We must stop this from happening. No matter what, the mystical sword sect cannot be destroyed. I'll send you all to the Gazing Immortal Pass and head to the mystical sword sect immediately. I hope we can make it in time. Lu Ming said. Wuxia Pass? All right, once I get to Gazing Immortal Pass, I'll announce the crimes of the 10 Direction Sword School and Heavenly King Zhen. I'll call on the geniuses to oppose the power and army of the 10 Direction Sword School and fight them together. Hua Qi said with a nod. The two of them came to a decision. At this time, the battle had also ended, and the army had assembled. Let's go to Wuxia Pass. Lu Ming waved his hand. With Lu Ming and the blood-red cavalry escorting them, their journey was smooth. The strange thing was that the Omnipresent Sword sect did not make any moves. They did not send out any experts to hunt them down. This made Lu Ming and Hua Qi frown. Not a single person from the 10 Directions sword sect was sent out to pursue them. It was very likely that the 10 Directions sword sect's people were used for other purposes and could not spare time. If they couldn't spare any manpower, then what could they do? Now, there were only the mystical sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley. Everyone galloped at top speed, and 3 days later, they were not far from the gazing Immortal Pass. At this time, Ming Meng had already sent an army to welcome them. Hua Qi, then we'll split into 2 groups. Lu Ming said to Hua Qi. All right, Lu Ming. I'll definitely lead the army to support you as soon as possible. Hua Qi said. Ming, be careful, he warned. Li Ping said worriedly. Father, mother, don't worry. I will be fine. Lu Ming nodded and bade farewell to everyone. Blood-red cavalry, follow me. Lu Ming shouted. Let's go. The 30,000 blood-red cavalry shouted, their auras soaring as they followed Lu Ming towards the east. Chapter 341. 341 The Battle of the Mystical Sword Sect. The Mystical Sword Sect had already fallen into the flames of war. Each of the 5 great courtyards was in an intense battle. Countless people roared as sword chi swept across and blood scattered. At every moment, there were people dying in battle. Outside the 5 great academies, the battle cries shook the heavens. Countless soldiers in iron armor were fighting, and corpses were strewn all over the ground. Boom! Tens of thousands of meters above the mystical sword sect, 2 extremely bright sword radiances were clashing, as if they could split the sky. Tens of thousands of sword chi swept out, and the collision of their forces was terrifying. Duanmu Canghai, why did your Duanmu family betray the mystical sword sect? The mystical sword sect has treated you well. The sect leader Lin Shui howled towards the sky, her voice filled with grief and indignation. The 2 people in the sky were Lin Shui and the old ancestor of the Duanmu family, the father of the White Tiger Hall's headmaster, Duanmu Pejuan, Duanmu Canghai. It's simple. The Duanmu family has been working hard for the mystical sword sect for almost 1,000 years, but we can only live in a corner. The mystical sword sect should have belonged to the Duanmu family long ago. On Duanmu Canghai's aged face, a cold smile could be seen. So the 10 Direction Sword School made such a promise to you. But Duanmu Canghai, do you think that the 10 Direction Sword School will keep their promise after this? How can you still be so naive at your age? Lin Shui smiled bitterly. There's no need for you to worry about that. Rest in peace. The mystical sword sect will definitely flourish with each passing day in my hands. Also, don't even think that the Scarlet Heaven Valley will come to your rescue. A large number of experts from the Shifang sword sect and the Heavenly Devil cult have gathered in the Scarlet Heaven Valley. Now, the Scarlet Heaven Valley can't even take care of itself. As long as I kill you all and combine all our forces, I can flatten the Scarlet Heaven Valley in one fell swoop. Duanmu Canghai sneered. Boom. Boom. The 2 of them exchanged a few moves in a row, and the space was shaking wildly. This was a life-and-death battle between half-step kings. Screams of pain came from all over the mystical sword sect, causing Xue Lin's eyes to turn red. Every scream could mean the death of a mystical sword sect disciple. Lin Shui's heart was bleeding. When the Ghost Moonsaber sect was in trouble, Lin Shui already knew that something was wrong and had called back most of the mystical sword sect's experts in case of an accident. They had also mobilized hundreds of thousands of elite troops from the major cities to guard the mystical sword sect. Sure enough, 5 days ago, the 10 Direction Sword School had launched a large-scale attack. Apart from hundreds of thousands of troops, there were also a large number of martial arts powerhouses. The mystical sword sect was caught in a great war. However, the mystical sword sect had the home ground advantage. With the 5 great academies as the base of the formation, they activated the 5 ultimate formation. With the 5 ultimate formations, the 10 Direction Sword sect would not be able to enter. After 4 days of intense battle, the mystical sword sect was as stable as Mount Tai. However, Lin Shui and the rest did not expect that the Duanmu family would rebel at this moment. They destroyed the 5 ultimate arrays in one fell swoop and attacked the mystical sword sect crazily with the help of the 10-direction sword sect. The mystical sword sect was caught off guard and suffered countless casualties. In the end, under Lin Shui's leadership, they fought back and barely stabilized the situation. In the sky not far away from the two of them, there were also 2 people engaged in an intense battle. The shockwaves from the battle between the two were not any smaller than Duanmu Canghai and Lin Shui. These were also 2 half-step king warriors. One was from the 10-direction sword sect, and the other was from the mystical sword sect. The mystic essence sword sect originally had 3 half-step kings, but now that Duanmu Canghai had betrayed them, only 2 were left. Lin Shui roared in anger. What collusion! No wonder he was defeated. Duanmu Canghai's shriveled face revealed a sinister smile that was extremely horrifying. Chapter 342. 342 Chapter 342 Experts. Benefits in Tianjue. What benefits did the 10-direction sword sect give you? Aren't you afraid that the 10-direction sword sect will unify the Blazing Sun Empire and become stronger, and then target the Yin Moon Empire? Lin Shui looked at Yin Tianjue and asked. There's no harm in telling you. It turns out that the territory of the Ghost Moon Saber sect belongs to my Yin Moon Empire. Yin Tianjue laughed. What? The 10-direction sword sect is betraying our country. Lin Shui roared. The 10-direction sword sect had actually given the Ghost Moon Saber sect's territory to the Yin Moon Empire, which was equivalent to 1/5 of the Blazing Sun Empire's territory. The 10-direction sword sect was using all their means. Lin Shui, this is a win-win situation. All right, your mystical sword sect is destined to be destroyed. Kill. Yin Tianjue ordered. Buzz. Buzz. Dozens of figures flew out from the back of the giant centipede and charged toward the mystical sword sect. Instantly, dozens of mystical sword sect disciples were killed. These people were all top-notch experts. The weakest of them was at the 6th level of the martial arts Grandmaster realm, and 3 of them were at the 9th level. As soon as he made his move, the situation changed drastically, and the mystical sword sect was at a disadvantage. Yin Tianjue didn't make a move, his target was Lin Shui. Duanmu Canghai, why don't we join forces and kill Lin Shui? Yin Tianjue sneered. Just what I wanted. Duanmu Canghai's murky eyes revealed a cold glint. Boom. Boom. Their auras exploded and swept across the world. The clouds in the sky were turned into dust by their auras. Buzz. Lin Shui's upper lever 4 combat sword let out a soft cry, and a beam of sword qi shot up into the sky. He looked at Duanmu Canghai and Yin Tianjue with a serious expression. Facing 2 half-step king warriors, he had no confidence at all. He knew that he had to go all out today, or else the mystical sword sect would be in danger. Kill! Kill! Duanmu Canghai and Yin Tianjue shouted in unison, each of them launching a move. Duanmu Canghai used a sword while Yin Tianjue used a battle spear. The 2 attacks advanced side by side and headed towards Lin Shui. Profound heavenly sword technique. Lin Shui let out a long cry, and her entire body seemed to have transformed into a divine sword. Sword intent filled the air, and a brilliant sword light seemed to have come from beyond the heavens as it violently slashed out. Boom! Boom! 2 earth-shaking rumbles spread out for hundreds of miles. If one looked up from below, one could see that the entire sky was covered in sword qi and spear light. The space trembled, and it was extremely terrifying. Whoosh! The next moment, a figure retreated frantically. Due to its speed, it created an air wave that was thousands of meters long. It was Lin Shui. She retreated a few thousand meters, groaned, and spat out a mouthful of blood. Lin Shui, you are no match for the 2 of us. Today, you are dead. Yin Tianjue sneered. Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. Lin Xue's eyes flashed with madness. Drag us down with you? Ha, Lin Xue, you think too highly of yourself. Yin Tianju laughed loudly, his aura like a mountain as he charged towards Lin Xue. At the same time, Duanmu Canghai also attacked Lin Xue. Boom! Boom! Another two earth-shaking rumbles sounded, and Lin Xue was forced back again. She coughed out blood and her face was pale. He was completely outmatched by two experts of the same realm. He was completely suppressed. They were both half-kings, and they had both cultivated their controlling force to the extreme. They were both at the peak of the Blazing Sun Empire and the Inue Empire. Who could be worse than the other? It was impossible for Xue Lin to be a match for the two. Haha, Lin Xue die. Yin Tianjue howled as his battle spear pierced through the air, turning into a huge spear that was a few hundred meters long as it flew towards Lin Xue. Lin Xue, let this old man send you off. Duanmu Canghai laughed coldly as his sword light shook the sky. Boundless energy burst forth from his aged body. A sword light slashed towards Lin Xue. At this moment dash. Buzz. Heaven and earth shook violently as a saber flare slashed over from the void in the distance. The blade light was hundreds of meters long and black in color. The most shocking thing was that when the blade light cut through the void, a series of shrill screams rang out, as if countless evil ghosts were screaming. The target of this blade light was Yin Tianjue. Ghost King Purgatory / Yin Tianjue cried out in alarm as his expression changed. He immediately shouted and forcefully changed the direction of his battle spear to attack the blade light. With a loud boom, Yin Tianjue's body trembled slightly as he took a few steps back. Every step he took caused a loud boom in the air. Buzz! The blade light dissipated and an old man wearing a black robe with a black moon embroidered on it appeared in the air. Shangguan, it's you. Yin Tianjue's face was dark. Ghost Moon Saber Sect's old ancestor, Shangguan Ming. Lin Xue's face was filled with joy. He had thought that the Ghost Moon Saber Sect had been destroyed and Shangguan Ming had died in battle. Now it seemed that Shangguan Ming had not died. Old Shangguan, I didn't kill you last time. This time, you've come to die. This is the will of heaven. Yin Tianjue sneered. Yin Tianjue and the 10 Direction Sword Sect, even if I have to risk my life, I will not let you succeed. Shangguan Ming's face was full of hatred. The Ghost Moon Saber Sect had been annihilated, and he had always wanted to take revenge. Shangguan Ming, you're an old bag of bones. You should go earlier. At this moment, a cold voice came from the distance. Then, a slender figure with his hands behind his back stepped through the air. In an instant, it appeared in front of him. Qiu Wuyang. Lin Xue and Shangguan Ming's expressions changed. Qiu Wuyang, the head of the 10 Direction Sword Sect, was actually nearby. Shangguan Ming, I knew that you would not give up and would always want to take revenge. That's why I didn't make a move just now. I wanted to lure you out and get rid of you both at the same time. Qiu Wuyang said lightly. His body flashed and together with Duanmu Canghai and Yin Tianjue, they formed a triangle and surrounded Lin Xue and Shangguan Ming. Lin Xue and Shangguan Ming were leaning against each other, their expressions extremely ugly. Qiu Wuyang had planned everything out, and the mystical sword sect had no chance of survival. Ah! At this moment, a long howl came from below, piercing through the sky. Lin Xue and the others couldn't help but look in that direction. Over there, Feng Wuji and Duanmu Lin were fighting. But at this moment, Feng Wuji was no match for Duanmu Lin. He was covered in blood and one of his arms was broken by Duanmu Lin's palm. Ha, Feng Wuji, you're not the strongest man in the mystical sword sect, you're just a piece of trash. If I was born a few years earlier, you wouldn't even be able to stand out. Duanmu Lin laughed loudly. His aura was wild, and his cultivation had actually reached the 4th level of the martial ancestor realm. Boom! Duanmu Lin's saber slashed out, and Feng Wuji barely managed to block it. He was sent flying for over 1,000 meters as blood spurted out of his mouth. Wuji! In the sky, Lin Shui was extremely worried. Hehe, Lin Shui, you've already lost. Even among the younger generation, the Duanmu family's geniuses are enough to crush you. The mystical sword sect should have been ruled by someone else a long time ago. Duanmu Canghai laughed coldly. Chapter 343. 343. The arrival of the Marquis champion. Lin Shui's face was extremely gloomy. Lin Shui, I heard that Feng Wuji is the disciple you're most proud of. I'll let you watch your disciple die in front of you. Qiu Wuyang sneered. At this moment, they were not in a hurry to attack. They wanted Lin Shui to watch as Feng Wuji was killed. This way, Lin Shui's mind would be crushed and it would be easier to kill her. Feng Wuji, today will be your doomsday. Duanmu Lin's long hair fluttered in the wind, and he was in high spirits. His entire person was filled with an aura of supremacy. His eyes were bright and full of arrogance. Boom! Duanmu Lin slashed out another saber and the saber light was extremely sharp. Feng Wuji tried his best to defend but he was heavily injured and was no match for Duanmu Lin. His body was sent flying like a cannonball and a long gash appeared on his chest. Wuji! Senior brother Wuji! Countless people from the mystical sword sect shouted when they saw this. They wanted to rush over to help, but everyone had an opponent. They were entangled by their opponents and couldn't help at all. Haha! High up in the sky, Qiu Wuyang, Duanmu Canghai, and Yin Tianjue laughed out loud. Below Feng Wuji and Duanmu Lin's battlefield, a few figures were looking up. One of them, with a graceful bearing, was Lu Yao. The others were experts from the Duanmu family and were responsible for protecting her. Lu Yao was here to witness the rise of Duanmu Lin. At this moment, Lu Yao's eyes had a hint of complexity. She was also a little stunned by the Duanmu family's betrayal of the mystical sword sect. But on second thought, she felt relieved. That's even better. If the Duanmu family replaces the mystical sword sect, my status will be even higher in the future. I've already cultivated to the 6th grade Great Martial Master realm, and it won't be long before I can break through to the Martial Ancestor realm. At that time, I must awaken a king rank bloodline. That way, I can live together with Brother Lin and become a legend. Lu Ming, did you see that? Now, Brother Lin had even trampled on Feng Wuji, one of the 6 heroes of the Scorching Sun sect. Even if you have some talent, how can you compare to Brother Lin? How can you be worthy of me? It's a pity that you're not in the mystical sword sect, so you won't be able to see this. If you were to see this, how would you feel inferior? Lu Yao looked at Duanmu Lin, who was in high spirits in the sky. His eyes were bright, full of pride and anticipation. Feng Wuji, you are the first one among the 6 heroes that I've fought. Today, I will step over your dead body and rise to the top. It's your honor to be my stepping stone. In the air, Duanmu Lin looked at Feng Wuji with disdain and was in high spirits. Duanmu Lin, you won't have the chance to do so. At this moment, a clear voice came from the distance. Who is it? Duanmu Lin's eyes turned cold as he looked into the distance. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the distance, 3 beams of light shot toward them. Who's there? You're looking for death. An expert from the 10 Directions Sword School shouted and charged toward the 3 beams of light. A few claw lights flew out and several 6th grade Martial Ancestor Realm experts from the 10 Direction Sword School were torn into pieces. Buzz. Buzz. And NBSP, the rainbow light vanished, and 3 figures appeared in the air. It's you? The champion, Ho Tianyun. As soon as the 3 figures appeared, someone shouted. Everyone in the mystical sword sect who was in the middle of a battle felt their hearts skip a beat as they couldn't help but look over. The champion Marquitanyun was famous throughout the Blazing Sun Empire. However, why was he here? The 3 people who had suddenly appeared were Lu Ming, Yen Quan, and the golden-eyed blood corpse. The gazing Immortal Pass wasn't far from the mystical sword sect. Lu Ming led 30,000 blood-red cavalry. After more than a day of travel, they finally neared the mystical sword sect. At this moment, Lu Ming, Yan Quan, and the golden-eyed blood zombie had arrived at the mystical sword sect. Lu Ming could not help but speak up when he saw Duanmu Lin's arrogant look. Duanmu Lin's expression could not help but turn grave as he looked at Lu Ming. Duanmu Lin naturally knew of marquee champion Lu Ming. Moreover, Lu Ming had killed Qiu Changlai, a genius from the omnipresent sword sect. He was extremely powerful, and Duanmu Lin did not dare to underestimate him. This fellow actually managed to rush here. Where his blood-red cavalry? Qiu Wuyang's expression changed slightly. Qiu Wuyang knew that Lu Ming had led the blood-red cavalry to the north of the Blazing Sun Empire to rescue Huaqi. However, he had not sent anyone to deal with Lu Ming during this period of time because he had to deal with the mystical sword sect. In his eyes, Lu Ming was just a small fry. After he dealt with the mystical sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley, he could kill Lu Ming and his blood-red cavalry with a flip of his hand. It's him. Lin Xue's eyes moved, revealing a complicated expression. Tu Yun, what are you doing here? Qiu Wuyang's voice came from the sky. I'm naturally here to kill you. Lu Ming smiled faintly. As soon as he said that, everyone's hearts trembled. To kill Qiu Wuyang and the others? What an arrogant tone. Haha, Champion Ho Tian Yun, you are indeed full of pride. But in my opinion, you must have been blinded by your pride. That's right, you've achieved so much at such a young age. It's normal to lose yourself. It's ridiculous that you want to kill us. How about this? I can see that you are a talent. If you join me now, I can consider putting you in an important position. In the future, you can become the Grand Marshal of the world's army and guard the Burning Sun Empire. It's not a bad idea. Qiu Wuyang said. What bullshit Grand Marshal? Do you think I care? Qiu Wuyang, to be honest, I'm more interested in your head. Lu Ming sneered. Impudent. You're looking for death. Qiu Wuyang's face turned cold, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. He waved his hand and a shocking sword radiance slashed toward Lu Ming. Qiu Wuyang, you're shameless. Lin Xue's face changed and she was about to help. Lin Xue, your opponent is me. Duanmu Canghai's figure moved and blocked Lin Xue. On the other side, Yin Tianjue was also staring at Shangguan Ming, preventing him from helping. What marquee champion? How dare you oppose this lord? You overestimate your own abilities, die. Qiu Wuyang's eyes were cold. However, facing Qiu Wuyang's sword radiance, Lu Ming's expression was very calm. He stood there without moving. It's over. The champion Ho Tian Yun, a hero of his generation, is going to be killed just like that? Many people in the surroundings sighed. No one thought that Lu Ming would survive. Qiu Wuyang was a half-step king, and only a half-step king could block his attack. However, how many half-step kings did the Burning Sun Empire have? There were only a dozen of them. Who could save Lu Ming now? Then, a scene that left everyone dumbfounded appeared. Yan Quan, who was beside Lu Ming, stepped forward and threw a punch. Boom! The space trembled violently. Then, a terrifying fist radiance burst out. Chapter 344. 344 Lu Ming is back. Boom! A deafening sound rang out as the fist force and the sword radiance collided and cancelled each other out. Half-step king. That's a half-step king. Someone shouted. Many people were shocked. They did not expect that Lu Ming would have a half-step king following him. Who are you, sir? Qiu Wuyang's face turned serious. Half-step kings were all extremely famous and were the overlords of their own territories. He was very clear about the appearance of each of them, but he didn't know Yan Quan. Who am I? There's no harm in saying it, I am Yan Quan. Yan Quan parted his mouth and smiled. What, you are Yan Quan? Then this little bastard is the one who destroyed the Mo family and killed my son. As soon as Yan Quan finished speaking, Yin Tianjue roared and looked at Lu Ming with a dark expression. During this period of time, he had sent people to investigate thoroughly, but they could not find the murderer at all. They only knew that Yan Quan had escaped. Now that the flame spring had appeared here, the answer was already obvious. In Tianjue, what's your name? Your Dark Moon Imperial family is despicable and shameless. Today, I will settle this with you. Yan Quan looked at In Tianjue with killing intent. He took a step forward and stood opposite Qiu Wuyang and the rest. The auras of the 6 half-step kings formed a huge domain that prevented anyone below the half-step king level from approaching. At this moment, Lu Ming looked at Duanmu Lin and smiled faintly. Duanmu Lin, I've just said that you don't have the chance to rise again. You'll die today. Tianyun, if you and I fight, both of us will suffer. I advise you to join the 10 Direction Sword School. Now that the school has formed its power, even if you have a half-step king protecting you, it won't be able to affect the overall situation. Duanmu Lin said as he stared at Lu Ming. With Tianyun's reputation right there, unless it was absolutely necessary, he was not willing to exchange blows with him. Both sides are injured? You really think too highly of yourself. Lu Ming revealed a mocking smile. I can defeat you in one move. Lu Ming took a step forward and closed in on Duanmu Lin. Arrogant. Let's see how you can defeat me in one move. Great Sun Thunder Blade Slash. Duanmu Lin bellowed in rage and slashed his saber. The terrifying saber radiance was even more scorching than the sun as it flew toward Lu Ming. Beast Palm. Lu Ming said softly and struck out with his palm. A huge beast claw appeared and charged toward Duanmu Lin. Bang! The beast claw collided with the blade light, and the blade light was snuffed out like a wisp of smoke. The beast Dao palm didn't stop, and it continued toward Duanmu Lin with an astonishing power. How did this happen? Duanmu Lin cried out in disbelief. Then he frantically activated his bloodline and used all his strength to slash out. Block it! Block it! Duanmu Lin let out a deep roar as his sharp blade light condensed into a sun. However, this sun was like a bubble that was destroyed by the beast Dao palm. Bang! Following that, the beast Dao palm slapped onto Duanmu Lin's body. Duanmu Lin let out a blood-curdling screech and was sent flying over 1,000 meters away. Blood continuously spurted out of his mouth as his body trembled. His clothes were in tatters, and it was unknown how many bones in his body had been broken. Lin, oh! In the sky, Duanmu Canghai shouted worriedly. So strong! Even overlords like Yin Tianjue and Shangguan Ming were shocked. Lin Xue's eyes were even more complicated. So strong. Tianyun is too strong. In all directions, Yan Lan, Mulan, and the others exclaimed in shock. The battle continued, but everyone's attention was drawn to this side. As martial arts grandmasters, they could see the battle from dozens of miles away. I've said it before, I'll defeat you in one move. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Impossible, impossible. Duanmu Lin roared, finding it hard to bear. He had prided himself as a peerless genius, but he was defeated by Lu Ming in one move. It was a huge blow to him. Below, Lu Yao also had a look of disbelief on her face. In her eyes, Duanmu Lin, who had been unrivaled, had actually been defeated by Tianyun in a single move. There's actually such a genius in this world? Even Duanmu Lin was defeated in one move. The title of Marquis Champion is indeed well-deserved. Lu Yao thought to herself as she looked at Lu Ming with a strange glint in her eyes. The second move will kill you. Lu Ming chuckled and took another step forward. At the same time, a cold killing intent burst out from his body. Tianyun, you dare? Duanmu Canghai roared and wanted to help. Duanmu Canghai, I'm your opponent. Lin Xue's aura locked onto Duanmu Canghai. Tianyun, there's no enmity between us in the past, nor has there been any enmity between us recently. Why must you kill me? If you kill me, my Duanmu family will never let you off. Why must you seek trouble for yourself? Duanmu Lin cried out in fear. Ha, no grudges? No complaints? Duanmu Lin, your memory isn't that good. I've said that I'll definitely return to the mystical sword sect within 2 years and kill you. You've already forgotten? At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly laughed out loud. His voice also changed, returning to his original voice. What? You're the referee. Duanmu Lin's pupils rapidly contracted and his mind was greatly shaken. Lu Ming reached out and wiped his face. He took off the disguise mask and revealed his handsome face. At the same time, the bones in his body moved and he returned to his original appearance. Lu Ming, why are you here? Duanmu Lin shrieked hysterically when he saw Lu Ming's face. This was too hard for him to accept. The champion, marketing, was Lu Ming, the Lu Ming that he looked down on. He would rather defeat his Tianyun than Lu Ming. This was a blow to his heart that was 10 times, no, 100 times worse. Lu Ming has returned. In the distant sky, Yan Lan, Mulan and the rest were shocked when they saw this. Then, it was ecstasy, unbelievable ecstasy. Haha, this kid is actually Tianyun? This old man is too shocked. Yan Lan laughed. How did this happen? Duanmu Pejuan, who was fighting against Yan Lan, let out a roar of disbelief. Lu Ming, you're finally back. I knew that you'd come back. You'd come back to fulfill your promise. Mulan's eyes were filled with joy. Lu Ming is back. Lu Ming is the marquee champion, Tianyun. All the disciples and elders of the mystical sword sect could not help but shout. The news quickly spread throughout the entire mystical sword sect and the entire battlefield. No one would have thought that the renowned champion, Ho Tianyun, was actually Lu Ming, the man who had stormed the White Tiger Hall, killed Lu Yunxiong, and killed dozens of people from the Duanmu family a year ago. In the end, he had been forced to withdraw from the mystical sword sect by the Duanmu family. Many of them even remembered the determination Lu Ming had when he left the mystical sword sect and the promise he made. He would definitely return within 2 years and kill Duanmu Lin. It had been less than 2 years. It had only been slightly more than a year and Lu Ming had returned. Duanmu Lin had been defeated by him in one move. The return of the king. A true king, no matter where he went, no matter what identity he used, was destined not to be buried. He would always shine. Lu Ming is back. I'm indeed not as good as him. Azure Dragon Hall, Zhang Muyun sighed. I knew he would come back. At the foot of the White Tiger Hall, Ling Kong, who was covered in blood, laughed heartily. Chapter 345. 345 Killing Duanmu Lin. It's him indeed. In the sky, Lin Shui revealed a bitter smile. At this moment, Lin Shui was filled with regret. Back then, he had chosen the Duanmu family over Lu Ming. The facts proved that he was wrong. The entire Duanmu family had rebelled, but at the crucial moment, Lu Ming had come to their rescue. His feelings were extremely complicated. Damn it, I should have killed him with all my strength back then. Duanmu Canghai's face was extremely gloomy. Of all the people present, the one with the most complicated feelings and the most difficult to accept was Lu Yao. At this moment, Lu Yao's body was trembling violently as she looked at the familiar figure in the sky in disbelief. No, it's impossible. It can't be Lu Ming's. How can Lu Ming be Tianyun? Lu Yao called out incoherently. Not long ago, she was still thinking that it was a pity that Lu Ming was not here. She could not see the gap between him and Duanmu Lin and was proud that he had chosen Duanmu Lin. However, in the blink of an eye, Tianyun had appeared and defeated Duanmu Lin with a single move. Now, he was telling her that Lu Ming was Tianyun. This was a huge blow to her. No, impossible. It's fake. All of this is fake. Lu Yao shrieked, her beautiful face contorted into a hideous and terrifying expression. She couldn't accept all this. In the sky, Lu Ming casually glanced at Lu Yao and no longer paid attention to her, as if she was just a stranger. Duanmu Lin, I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming said softly. No, I can't die. Duanmu Lin cried out in horror as he desperately flew backward. Lu Ming, stop. Duanmu Canghai roared and a powerful aura burst out from his body, wanting to save him. However, he was being held back by Lin Shui. Yen Lan, get lost. On the other side, Duanmu Pejuan also roared loudly. He wanted to save Yen Lan, but how could Yen Lan allow him to do so? Duanmu Pejuan, we haven't decided who's going to win yet. Where are you going? Yen Lan laughed coldly as he blocked Duanmu Pejuan's way. Stop him! Yin Tianjue shouted. Buzz! Buzz! A few of the experts he had brought with him charged toward Lu Ming. Die! A long spear appeared in Lu Ming's hands. With a stab, the spear's gleam burst out and the two 7th-grade martial arts grandmaster experts were instantly killed. At the same time, Lu Ming devoured the blood essence. Lu Ming did not stop as he charged toward Duanmu Lin. Stop him and let young Master Lin escape. The other Duanmu family experts rushed over, but the strongest was only in the 7th level of the martial arts grandmaster realm. They were all killed by Lu Ming. In the next moment, Lu Ming appeared in front of Duanmu Lin. I'm not afraid. Duanmu Lin shouted in fear. Die! Lu Ming muttered and thrust his spear. Puchi! The spear pierced through Duanmu Lin's heart. Duanmu Lin's eyes immediately popped out like a dead fish's. His eyes were filled with unwillingness and regret. Immediately after, the life in his eyes quickly dissipated. Never in his dreams did he expect that he would die in Lu Ming's hands. More than a year ago, when Lu Ming left the mystical sword sect, he said that he would return to the sect to kill him within 2 years. At that time, he did not take it seriously. He did not think that Lu Ming could catch up to him. However, the truth was often very different from what you expected. Duanmu Lin was dead. Bang! Lu Ming swung his long spear and Duanmu Lin's corpse flew out like a piece of trash. No, Lu Ming, you should die. You should die. In the sky, Duanmu Canghai screamed hysterically. His voice was as shrill as a ghost. Duanmu Lin was the hope of the Duanmu family, and now that his hope had been snuffed out, Duanmu Canghai simply couldn't bear it. Old man, what are you shouting for? After I left the sect, you sent people to assassinate me. I once swore to trample your Duanmu family to the ground. Now it's your turn. Golden Eye, go and kill that old man. Lu Ming berated Duanmu Canghai and then instructed the golden-eyed blood corpse. Roar! The golden-eyed blood corpse let out a deafening roar as it emitted a dense blood-red light and pounced towards Duanmu Canghai. You're looking for death. Duanmu Canghai roared and slashed at the golden-eyed blood corpse. A sharp sword light burst out, trying to cut the golden-eyed blood zombie in half. However, the result shocked everyone. The golden-eyed blood corpse waved its claws and tore Duanmu Canghai's sword light into pieces. The golden-eyed blood corpse continued to attack Duanmu Canghai with lightning speed. Half-step King Warrior? Why is it half-step King Warrior again? Duanmu Canghai let out a cry of disbelief. There was another half-step king beside Lu Ming. How was that possible? Could it be that half-step kings were cabbages? Even Lin Shui and the other half-step kings were stunned. Boom! Duanmu Canghai circulated his sword force and burst out with all his strength. Just now, he thought that he could kill the golden-eyed blood corpse with a casual strike, so the sword ray was easily destroyed by the corpse. Kill! At this moment, Lin Shui shouted coldly, and a terrifying sword aura burst forth, and a peerless sharp-edge stabbed towards Duanmu Canghai. Arg! Lin Shui, you sneaked an attack on me, you're despicable. Duanmu Canghai howled in fear as he used all his strength to resist. Don't even think about it. Qiu Weiyang and Yin Tianjue roared and wanted to save him, but Shangguan Ming and Yan Quan had also made their moves. A battle between half-step kings suddenly erupted. The entire heaven and earth was in an uproar. Ah! An earth-shattering scream reverberated through the entire mystical sword sect. It was Duanmu Canghai. He was no match for the golden-eyed blood corpse and Lin Shui. Furthermore, Lin Shui had launched a sneak attack. With one move, a piece of flesh was torn off from his chest by the golden-eyed blood corpse. Even his bones and internal organs could be seen. His right hand had disappeared. Lin Xue's sword light had cut off one of his arms from his shoulder, almost cutting him in half. But even if he dodged it, he was already half dead. Ah, Lin Xue, you're despicable. How dare you sneak attack me? Duanmu Songhai shouted. There's no need to kill traitors in broad daylight. Kill. Lin Xue's killing intent was like a tidal wave. She hated the Duanmu family to the core. She unleashed her full power and charged towards Duanmu Songhai. Roar! The golden-eyed blood corpse also roared and charged towards Duanmu Songhai. Save me! Duanmu Song's sea urchin was scared out of its wits as it fled for its life. Unfortunately, even if Qiu Wuyang and Yin Tianjue wanted to help, they were powerless. Their opponents weren't any weaker than them. Duanmu Songhai was already heavily injured and his combat strength was greatly reduced. How could he escape? The next moment, another scream was heard. He dodged the claw of the golden-eyed blood corpse, but he couldn't avoid Lin Xue's sword and was cut in half. After all, he was a half-step king with a strong life force. Duanmu Songhai was still alive, and he started to scream in fear. Sect leader, please spare my life. Please spare my old bones. For the sake of all the years I've fought for the sect, please spare me. Duanmu Songhai pleaded loudly. And NBSP, he actually called him sect leader again. He was really shameless. Indeed, the older a person was, the more afraid he was of death. Fight for the sect? I think you've been working hard for yourself all these years. Duanmu Songhai, I'll send you on your way personally. Lin Xue coldly shouted. Buzz! The sharp sword chi burst out. Duanmu Songhai let out a cry of despair as the sword chi sliced through his head, splitting him into two. Duanmu Songhai, a half-step king, was dead. Chapter 346. 346 Chapter 346 Turning the Tables. Father! In the distance, Duanmu Pejuan shouted. Bang! He was distracted for a moment, and Yen Lan's palm landed on his chest. Duanmu Pejuan retreated as blood spurted out of his mouth. Die! Yen Lan chased after him, and the violent attack tilted down. Duanmu Pejuan, who was seriously injured, could only block a dozen moves before his heart meridian was shattered by Yen Lan's palm. With a loud cry, he died unwillingly. Not good, let's go. Seeing that Duanmu Songhai had been killed, Qiu Wuyang let out a long howl and turned to leave. Qiu Wuyang, you can stay here today. Lin Xue roared as she charged at Qiu Wuyang with her sword. The dazzling sword chi filled the void and blocked Qiu Wuyang's way out. Buzz! Buzz! Yen Quan and the golden-eyed blood corpse flashed and appeared on the other two sides of Qiu Wuyang. Qiu Wuyang's face was gloomy and his eyes were filled with anxiety. Damn it. I can't believe I've fallen into such a situation today. I never thought that this Tianyun, no, Lu Ming, would have two half-step king warriors with him. It's all Lu Ming's fault. Damn it. Qiu Wuyang kept roaring in his heart as he rolled his eyes, trying to think of a solution. With Duanmu Songhai's death, the only half-step king warriors on their side were him, Yin Tianjue, and another expert from the 10-direction sword school. On the Mystic Essence Sword sect's side, there was Lin Xue, a half-step king, Shangguan Ming, Yen Quan, and the golden-eyed blood corpse. In terms of peak combat strength, they were already at a complete disadvantage. They could only retreat for now. Otherwise, they would all have to stay here. Boom! Let's go! On the other side, Yin Tianjue and Shangguan Ming exchanged a blow. He roared and called for the powerful cultivators he had brought with him, planning to escape. Yin Tianjue, let's settle this today. Where are you going? Seeing that Yin Tianjue was about to leave, Yen Quan gave a loud roar and abandoned Qiu Wuyang to charge towards Yin Tianjue. Detestable! Yin Tianjue howled in anger as he burst forth with all his might. Buzz! As soon as Yen Quan left, Qiu Wuyang's sword chi soared into the sky. The battle sword in his hand slashed out, its sharpness unparalleled. Boom! Even the powerful golden-eyed blood corpse was sent flying thousands of meters. Qiu Weiyang seized the opportunity and was about to run away. However, on the other side, another sharp sword qi was coming at him. It was Lin Shui. Qiu Weiyang, you won't be able to escape. Lin Shui's voice was cold. Damn it. Qiu Weiyang roared and fought back with all his might. However, after a few moves, he was already spitting out blood. At this moment, the howls of Walevers could be heard from the distant land. Boom, boom, boom. The earth rumbled as countless blood-red scaled Walevers charged over. Lu Ming's red blood cavalry had arrived. Kill! The blood-red cavalry roared and charged at the army of the 10-direction sword sect. The omnipresent sword sect immediately sent out a powerful army to stop the blood-red cavalry. Although this army was very strong and was the elite of the 10-direction sword school, it was not enough to face the blood-red cavalry. The red blood cavalry was armed to the teeth. What they wore and what they held in their hands were all the best items that Lu Ming had taken from the Martial King's storage ring. Together with the crimson-scaled wolf, they were an army that was born for war. After a few charges, the army of the 10-direction sword sect was scattered. The blood-red cavalry charged past, leaving corpses everywhere and blood flowing like a river. Qiu Weiyang, your plan today is destined to fail. It's impossible for the 10-direction sword sect to rule the burning sun empire. Lin Shui glared at Qiu Weiyang. Qiu Weiyang's face was extremely dark and his eyes were filled with anger. He didn't say anything as he tried to block Lin Shui and the golden-eyed blood corpse's attacks while looking for an opportunity to escape. Sect leader, let me help you. At this time, a loud roar was heard. A tall figure rushed over and exchanged a blow with the golden-eyed blood corpse. This person was the other half-step king of the 10-direction sword school. I'm your opponent. The half-step king from the mystical sword sect had also caught up. Sect leader, run. The 10-direction sword sect can't do without you. Leave this to me. The half-step king from the 10-direction sword school roared. His body emitted a strong purple light, and his originally tall body expanded again. He's burning his blood essence. He's going to risk his life. Stop him. Lin Shui shouted. Kill, kill, kill. The half-step king from the 10-direction sword school roared and slashed out 3 times. The power of these 3 swords was beyond imagination, infinitely close to the attack power of a king. Boom, boom, boom. The golden-eyed blood corpse, Lin Shui, and the half-step king from the Mystic Essence Sword sect were all sent flying thousands of meters away. Buzz! Qiu Weiyang seized the opportunity and turned into a beam of light, disappearing into the horizon in a few breaths. Lu Ming, Lin Shui, Qiu Weiyang, will exterminate your entire family sooner or later. Qiu Weiyang's murderous voice came from the distance. Boom! On the other side, Yin Tianju used some kind of secret technique and lost an arm to fight back Yan Quan and Shangguan Ming's encirclement. He turned into a blood light and rushed out, disappearing into the horizon. Detestable! Lin Shui roared as she turned her attention to the 10-direction sword school's half-step king. Although he had burned his blood essence and increased his combat strength, he couldn't last long. His blood essence was exhausted and he was torn into pieces by the golden-eyed blood corpse. Lu Ming's figure flashed and appeared in the air. Looking at the corpse of the 10-direction sword sect's demi-king, Lu Ming sighed in pity. The other party's blood essence had already been exhausted. This was a half-step king. The energy contained in its blood essence was absolutely terrifying. To Lu Ming, it was a supreme treasure. Furthermore, the blood essence of a half-step king was extremely condensed, and its essence dissipated very slowly. Any jade bottle could store it for a very long time. Previously, Duan Muzonghai's blood essence had already been stored in a jade bottle by Lu Ming. He could keep it for later consumption and refinement. After taking a look at his surroundings, Lu Ming wiped his face with his hand and transformed back into Tianyun. Blood-red iron cavalry, hear my order. Kill the people of the 10-direction sword sect without mercy. Lu Ming gave the order heartlessly, his voice spreading far and wide. Kill! Kill! The blood-red cavalry roared, their killing intent soaring to the heavens. Kill! Lu Ming shouted as well. He wielded his spear and charged at the martial arts grandmaster from the omnidirectional sword sect. At the same time, the golden-eyed blood corpse, Yan Quan, Lin Shui, and the other half-step kings also charged toward the 10-direction sword school. With so many half-step kings joining in, it was simply a massacre. Screams of pain and agony filled the air as a large number of experts were killed. Run, quickly run. The people from the 10-direction sword school didn't have the heart to continue fighting. Even their sect leader had escaped, and the other party had so many terrifying experts. Staying behind to fight was simply an act of courting death. One by one, they began to flee from the mystical sword sect. The attack of the 10-direction sword school this time could be considered a complete failure. Lu Ming was on a killing spree. With a wave of his long spear, a few experts from the Duanmu family were killed. Lu Ming had his eyes on the Duanmu family. In fact, it was the same for the other people in the mystical sword sect. They were also targeting the Duanmu family. Even if the people from the 10-direction sword school were to escape, they could not let the people from the Duanmu family off. Betrayer, only death. Chapter 347. 347 Meeting Lu Yao again. Chaos, the scene was in chaos. Screams and curses were heard. The people from the Duanmu family screamed and fled. Don't leave me. Not far from Lu Ming, there was a shriek. A few figures soared into the sky, trying to escape. Shio! Shio! Lu Ming's long spear shook and the spear's radiance burst out. These 4th and 5th grade martial arts grandmasters were easily killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming appeared in a flash. He looked down and frowned slightly. Below, Lu Yao lay limply on the ground, her face filled with despair. Duanmu Tonghai, Duanmu Lin, and Duanmu Pejuan all died. The Duanmu family's higher-ups were killed one after another in front of her eyes. This completely shattered her fantasy and her future. Lu Ming, it's all your fault. You've ruined me. Lu Yao raised her head and looked at Lu Ming with reddened eyes. Her eyes were filled with resentment. I destroyed you? What a joke. Lu Ming looked at Lu Yao and chided her coldly. From the beginning to the end, I've never provoked you. You've been lying to me and even deprived me of my bloodline. When I came to the mystical sword sect, it was the Duanmu family who tried to kill me time and time again. Now, you're saying that I destroyed you? So you're saying that I can only let you do whatever you want to me, and I can't fight back? How laughable. Lu Yao, let me tell you, you only have yourself to blame for everything. Lu Ming looked at Lu Yao and said slowly. His voice was very calm, and one could not tell any emotional fluctuations. He was just stating a fact. He asked for it? You brought this upon yourself, ha! Lu Yao muttered to herself, then burst out laughing. Buzz! Buzz! At that moment, 2 figures appeared beside Lu Ming. They were Qiu Yu and Xian Yanqing. After Lu Yao laughed, she calmed down and looked at Xian Yanqing and Qiu Yu. Qiu Yu and Xian Yanqing, one in a white dress and the other in a black dress, stood in the air like a goddess. Lu Yao had always prided herself on her beauty, but compared to Qiu Yu and Xian Yanqing, she was still not as good. In addition, Qiu Yu and Xian Yanqing exuded a powerful aura. Standing beside Lu Ming, they looked like a celestial couple. At this moment, Lu Yao's heart was filled with complicated emotions. There was regret, hatred, and envy. She had brought this upon herself. Yes, Lu Ming was right. She had brought this upon herself. All of this was caused by herself. If she had not thought so much in the past, looked down on Lu Ming, despised him, and even deprived him of his bloodline just because he was dispirited for a moment, and did not pursue geniuses and rich families, but stayed by Lu Ming's side obediently, then the person who was envied by countless people would not be others but her. At this moment, she truly understood the meaning of the phrase, "Don't bully the young for being poor." People would always have their ups and downs. However, the low point was only temporary. As long as he didn't die, he would rise up eventually. I envy the prosperity and brilliance of others, but I ignore the brilliance and potential of the people around me. In the end, it's all for nothing. Perhaps I was wrong. Lu Yao suddenly let out a long sigh. All of a sudden, the true energy in Lu Yao's body went berserk, and streams of fiery red true energy rushed out of her body. Poochie! Then, Lu Yao's body trembled and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her aura rapidly weakened and she finally became like an ordinary person. His cultivation was crippled. In a short period of time, Lu Yao had gone through a great roller coaster ride, and her mental state had also experienced a great roller coaster ride, which actually led to the collapse of her mental state, causing her cultivation to be completely crippled. Lu Yao lay limply on the ground, her eyes unfocused and filled with despair. At that moment, the scenes from her journey to this place appeared in Lu Yao's mind. She suddenly realized that the 3 years that she spent with Lu Ming were the real happiness. Later on, she pursued more and it became more tiring. After a long while, Lu Yao suddenly burst into tears. She looked at Lu Ming and said, "Lu Ming, I'm sorry." "All right." Lu Ming suddenly sighed. One must always look at the side. Although the scenery in the distance is beautiful, it's just an illusion. It's like a dream. It's not a bad thing that you'll be an ordinary person in the future. After that, Lu Ming called over an expert from the Blood Red Cavalry and instructed, "Take her to an ordinary village nearby and let her spend the rest of her life there." Yes. The Blood Red Cavalry accepted the order, picked up Lu Yao, and disappeared in a flash. A gentle breeze blew past and a crystal-clear teardrop floated towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming opened his palm and the teardrop landed on it. "This is good too." Lu Ming muttered. "What's wrong? You can't bear to part with your old lover?" Xian Yanqing pouted. "Old lover? Aren't you my old lover?" Lu Ming smiled. "Me? But who's your old lover?" Xian Yanqing rolled his eyes at Lu Ming and said through gritted teeth. However, her face was a little red. Qiu Yu blinked her watery eyes and looked at Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. She smiled gently and did not say anything. There was no longer any suspense in this battle. In the end, the Duanmu family was almost completely annihilated, and the 10-direction sword school also suffered heavy losses. Only a small number of people managed to escape. As for the dozens of experts that Yin Tianjue had brought with him, all of them had been killed except for himself. The 5 courtyards of the mystical sword sect were covered in ruins and corpses. The ground was dyed red with blood. The atmosphere was heavy. Although the mystical sword sect had won this battle, they had also suffered heavy losses. It could be said that the mystical sword sect's strength had dropped by a large margin after this battle. Due to the Duanmu family's betrayal, the White Tiger Hall was almost crippled. Lu Ming was walking among the ruins. "Marquis Champion! Marquis Champion!" The mystical sword sect's disciples bowed respectfully when they saw Lu Ming. Their hearts were filled with complicated feelings. Initially, Lu Ming was just like them, a disciple of the mystical sword sect. However, things were different now. Now, Lu Ming was the Marquis Champion, and he was in control of the army. His own strength was extremely powerful, and he had 2 half-step king warriors under him. He had already become one of the overlords of the Blazing Sun Empire, an overlord that could be on equal footing with Lin Shui. Lu Ming nodded in response. "Marquis Champion." Lu Ming met Zhang Muyun in the Azure Dragon Hall. He was covered in blood and Zhuo Yirong was by his side. "Brother Zhang, you don't have to be so polite," Lu Ming said with a smile. Lu Ming was happy for Zhang Muyun and Zhuo Yirong. Although Lu Ming did not have many interactions with the 2 of them, he still admired their character. Many people have died. Duan Gang also died in battle. Zhang Muyun sighed, his voice filled with solemnness and sadness. "Is Duan Gang dead?" Lu Ming muttered. Duan Gang was the #1 genius among the bronze-level disciples of the Onyx Tortoise Hall. He had once competed with them for a place on the bronze ranking. He was a very straightforward young man. But now he had died in battle. After chatting with Jianghu for a while, Lu Ming left the place. He walked around and arrived at the Vermilion Bird Hall. Lu Ming! With a soft cry, Mulan walked toward Lu Ming leisurely, her eyes filled with joy. At this moment, Lu Ming had already returned to his true appearance, and everyone in the blood-red cavalry already knew his true identity. Chapter 348. 348 Chapter 348 Times have changed. Senior Sister Mulan. Lu Ming also smiled and walked towards Mulan. Lu Ming, I was right about you. It's been a long time since we last met. Your achievements have exceeded my imagination. And now that you're the Marquis Champion, should I call you Lord Marquis when I see you? Mulan came to Lu Ming's side with a smile and teased him. It had been more than a year since they last met, and Mulan's figure had become even more voluptuous. She was wearing a tight-fitting black chiffon dress that outlined a shocking curve on her body. The faint fragrance of her body continuously sneaked into Lu Ming's nose. It was filled with endless temptation. It was completely like a ripe peach. Senior Sister Mulan, you've laughed at me. In front of Senior Sister, I'm still that junior brother. Lu Ming said with a bitter smile. A satisfied smile appeared on Mulan's face as if she was saying, at least you know your place. Then, Mulan sized Lu Ming up carefully. A trace of longing flashed across her eyes, but no one noticed it. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure appeared in the air above them. It was a middle-aged man. Marquis Champion, the sect leader has something to discuss with you. He's in the meeting hall. The middle-aged man cupped his fists and saluted. All right, I'll be there immediately. Lu Ming nodded. Many thanks, Marquis Champion. The middle-aged man cupped his fists in thanks and left. Senior Sister Mulan, let's talk another day. Lu Ming said with a smile. All right. Mulan nodded. Then, Lu Ming soared into the sky and headed out of the mystical sword sect's mountain gate. The blood-red cavalry's temporary camp was here. Lord Marquis. The blood-red cavalry saluted Lu Ming the moment he returned. Regardless of whether it was Lu Ming or Tian Yun, the blood-red cavalry would not care. They only recognized one person, and that was the Marquis Champion himself. Then, Lu Ming brought the golden-eyed blood corpse and Yen Quan to the meeting hall of the mystical sword sect. The mystical sword sect's meeting hall was located deep within the 5 great academies. It was the place where the sect leader, golden-robed elders, and golden-ranked disciples cultivated. It was also the core of the mystical sword sect. Back then, Lu Ming had stayed in the mystical sword sect for so long, but he had never come here. Now, he had left the mystical sword sect and came here. Things were really wonderful. The Marquis Champion has arrived. Lu Ming had just appeared outside the meeting hall when someone announced his arrival. Then, dozens of people walked out of the meeting hall. The one in the lead was Lin Shui, and on the right was the only remaining half-step king warrior of the Ghost Moonsaber sect, Shangguan Ming. On the left was another half-step king from the mystical sword sect. The other dozens of people were mostly the golden-robed elders of the mystical sword sect, as well as the deans of the Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and Azure Dragon halls. Feng Wuji was one of them. Ha! The Marquis Champion is here. Please come in, and Brother Yen as well. Lin Shui laughed and cupped her fists at Lu Ming and Yen Quan. His tone was very polite and he treated Lu Ming as a person of the same level. Greetings to Marquis Champion and Senior Yen Quan. The golden-robed elders also cupped their fists and said. Their feelings were complicated. Lu Ming was once a disciple of the mystical sword sect and a proud son of heaven. He had entered the mystical sword sect and created many records. In the end, because of the Duanmu family, they made Lu Ming leave the mystical sword sect. However, it had only been a short while and Lu Ming had made such great achievements alone. Even they had to bow down to Lu Ming. This was simply unbelievable. And NBSP, sect leader Lin, seniors, you don't have to be so polite. Lu Ming smiled. Yen Quan's face was expressionless. Of course, the golden-eyed blood corpse did not have any reaction. It followed Lu Ming closely. A group of people walked into the meeting hall and took their seats. This time, it's all thanks to Marquis Champion's timely arrival. Otherwise, my Mystic Essence Sword sect would have been destroyed by the 10 Direction Sword sect. On behalf of all the disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword sect, I would like to thank Marquis Champion. At the head of the hall, Lin Shui stood up and solemnly thanked Lu Ming. Sect leader Lin, you are too polite. I just don't want the 10 Direction Sword sect to unify the Blazing Sun Empire. Lu Ming smiled faintly and his attitude was indifferent. No matter what, I still have to thank the Marquis Champion. Lin Shui cupped her fists again. She sighed in her heart and was a little disappointed. It was obvious that Lu Ming did not have a good impression of them. He had thought that it was possible to get Lu Ming to return to the mystical sword sect. However, looking at Lu Ming's attitude, it seemed impossible. Lin Shui collected herself and continued, I invited Marquis Champion here today to discuss the current situation and what we should do. Lu Ming nodded. This time, the 10 Direction Sword School has been defeated. They will definitely not let it go and will definitely make a comeback. Moreover, the 10 Direction Sword School has joined forces with the Heavenly Fiend sect. In addition, they have occupied the imperial capital. No one is the 10 Direction Sword School's match. Therefore, we must join forces with the Crimson Cloud Valley to have the power to fight against the 10 Direction Sword School. The most important thing now is to rescue the Crimson Cloud Valley. Previously, some experts from the Heavenly Fiend sect and the 10 Direction Sword School were missing, most likely to have gone to deal with the Crimson Cloud Valley. I wonder what Marquis Champion and Senior Shangguan think about this? Lin Shui analyzed and then looked at Lu Ming and Shangguan Ming. I have no objections as long as we don't let the 10 Direction Sword School succeed. Shangguan Ming said. I have no objections either. Lu Ming nodded. No one had any objections, so they immediately sent experts to assist the Crimson Cloud Valley. Lin Shui went personally, Shangguan Ming volunteered and Lu Ming sent Flame Spring. The 3 half-step kings led a large group of experts and charged toward the Red Cloud Valley. Lu Ming entered the Supreme Shrine and began to devour and refine the blood essence. In this battle, Lu Ming had devoured a large amount of blood essence and used it all to improve his 9-dragon bloodline. His cultivation had improved too quickly, and he still needed some time to polish it. Therefore, all the blood essence was used to improve the bloodline. Now, Lu Ming felt that his 9-dragon bloodline had reached the limit of the 1st-grade king level. He would soon reach the 2nd-grade king level. With a wave of his hand, a jade bottle appeared. Within the jade bottle, there were 9 drops of blood essence. These 9 drops of blood essence were placed together and did not mix with each other. They were like 9 bright rubies. This was the blood essence left behind by Duanmu Tenghai. With a breath of genuine qi, a drop of blood essence flew out. At the same time, the bloodline of 9 dragons appeared. He opened his mouth and inhaled, and the drop of blood essence was swallowed by the bloodline of 9 dragons. Boom! After a drop of blood essence was absorbed, it was like a volcano had erupted, erupting with terrifying energy. The body of the 9-dragon bloodline actually swelled up rapidly. Roar! The 9-dragon bloodlines roared, and their voices rumbled, shaking the heavens and earth. They began to refine rapidly. The blood essence of a half-step king was too rich. The endless energy was all absorbed by the 9-dragon bloodline. Buzz! Half an hour later, the bloodline of the 9 dragons trembled. Around his body, there was only one Esilavir chakra. At this time, a second, lighter-colored Esilavir chakra also appeared. King Level 2. His 9-dragon bloodline had advanced to the 2nd rank of the king level. The blood essence of a half-step king is indeed terrifying. Lu Ming sighed. Chapter 349. 349 Chapter 349 The War of the Whole Nation. Just a drop of blood essence had elevated the 9-dragon bloodline from the first level to the second level. Continue. Lu Ming took out another drop of blood essence and devoured it. This time, Lu Ming upgraded his second blood meridian. The second bloodline was an ancient stone tablet. There seemed to be some words on it, but they were blurry and unclear. It seemed very mysterious. Moreover, up until now, the second bloodline did not seem to have any other magical effects other than increasing Lu Ming's combat strength when he activated it. This was not in line with the level of king-level bloodline. Lu Ming speculated that this might be because the level of the blood meridian was still too low. As long as the level of the blood meridian increased, the second blood meridian would definitely show some power. A huge stone tablet emerged, and surging blood essence energy was constantly injected into the stone tablet. However, his second bloodline was now at the 4th level of the king tier. The amount of blood essence energy required to upgrade it was too much. 1 drop, 2 drops. After refining a total of 7 drops, his second bloodline had only advanced to the limit of the 4th tier of the king level. Next, Lu Ming refined 2 more drops in a row. Unfortunately, the second blood meridian did not improve. It was still at the limit of the 4th level of the king tier. Right now, the increase in bloodline level is too slow. Even a half-step king can only increase it by this little bit. Usually, 8th or 7th stage martial ancestors have little effect, and 9th stage martial ancestors have a better effect. Lu Ming pondered in his heart and was rather speechless. He really didn't know what kind of blood essence he would need to continue upgrading. Martial King Realm. At the thought of this, Lu Ming was somewhat speechless. A day has passed. Let's go out and see the situation. With a single thought, Lu Ming left the Supreme Shrine. After he came out, he received news that Lin Shui and the others had returned. So fast. Lu Ming was a little surprised. Yan Quan then told him what had happened. It turned out that when Lin Shui and the others rushed to the Crimson Cloud Valley without stopping, they actually met the people of the Crimson Cloud Valley on the way. They were on their way to the Mystical Sword Sect. When the two sides met, they found out that the 10-Direction Sword School and the Heaven Fiend School had indeed sent a large number of experts to besiege the Crimson Cloud Valley. However, the Scarlet Heaven Valley had not been infiltrated by the 10-Direction Sword School. How could it be so easy to break through when the top and bottom were united? However, the people of the Crimson Cloud Valley could not come out either. They were blocked and could not help the Mystical Sword Sect. Unexpectedly, after 2 days, the 10-Direction Sword Sect and the Heaven Fiend Sect suddenly retreated. Only then did the Crimson Cloud Valley send people to the Mystical Sword Sect for help. Everyone guessed that the masters besieging the Crimson Cloud Valley retreated because the 10-Direction Sword Sect had suffered a crushing defeat at the Mystical Sword Sect. Lu Ming nodded. It was a great thing that the Crimson Cloud Valley was fine. After Lu Ming and Yan Quan chatted for a while, Lin Shui sent someone to invite him to discuss some matters. This time, of course, they were discussing their next move. After the discussion, the Mystical Sword Sect began to gather the various armies and experts around the Mystical Sword Sect. The same was true for the Crimson Cloud Valley. 5 days later, Hua Qi and Ming Meng led their armies to the Mystical Sword Sect. Naturally, Lu Yuntian and Li Ping were there as well. Lu Ming arranged for Lu Yuntian and Li Ping to stay in the Mystical Sword Sect. This way, as long as the Mystical Sword Sect remained standing, Lu Yuntian and Li Ping would be safe. On the 2nd day of Hua Qi's arrival, he announced it to the world as a legitimate member of the royal family. In the announcement, Hua Qi pointed out that Heavenly King Jin had colluded with the 10-Direction Sword Sect and Heavenly Fiend Sect to usurp the throne, kill the Burning Sun Emperor Hua Jingxing, and slaughter the entire royal family. It was a great treasonous act and everyone had the right to punish him. Therefore, they gathered all the righteous men in the world to attack Heavenly King Zhen, Shifang Sword School, and Tiansha sect. When the announcement was made, Lu Ming was the first to respond. He was willing to lead an army to attack the omnipresent sword sect. The Marquis Champion and the Blood-Red Iron Cavalry were the first to respond, and the world was shaken. Following that, the supporters gathered. Needless to say, all the armies and forces in the mystical sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley's territories obeyed their orders. Many of the Imperial Army's troops also rushed to the mystical sword sect's territory in response to Hua Qi's call. Half a month later, Hua Qi had gathered an army of nearly 1 million. At this time, the mystical sword sect was located in the eastern part of the Blazing Sun Empire, forming a triangular formation with the Crimson Cloud Valley in the southern part of the Blazing Sun Empire. Together with Hua Qi's army, their strength was unprecedented. At the same time, the 10-Direction Sword sect and the Heaven Fiends sect also made their move. They gathered their armies and began to attack. The two forces started a life-and-death battle. This battle lasted for a month. The Blazing Sun Empire did not have a true martial king. The strongest was a half-step king, so the battle between the two sides was not one-sided. Although the Omnidirectional Sword sect and the Malevolent Sky sect were slightly stronger than the Mystical Sword sect, the Crimson Cloud Valley, and Lu Ming, they were still too weak. However, since Lu Ming had brought Yen Quan and the Golden-Eyed Blood Corpse, they were not at a disadvantage in terms of half-step king warriors. Even if the 10-Direction Sword School was slightly stronger, it was not by much. It was impossible to defeat Lu Ming's side in a short time. The two sides were in a stalemate. The total number of soldiers on both sides exceeded 8 million, and there were constant small and big battles. During this time, the Blood-Red Cavalry were extremely eye-catching and had won every battle. They had made great contributions, causing the expressions of the 10-Direction Sword sect to change. However, there was a flaw, and that was that there were too few of them. There were only 30,000 of them, and as the battle continued, their numbers would decrease. In a battle with millions of soldiers, it was difficult to establish a decisive advantage. In the Dark Moon Empire, in the South Vanquishing Prince's mansion, a group of people were discussing some matters. The Duke of the South, Yin Tianjue, was missing an arm. He sat at the head of the table with a gloomy expression, as if he was in deep thought. Your Royal Highness, why didn't we send troops to aid the 10-Direction Sword sect and destroy the Mystical Sword sect, Crimson Cloud Valley, and Lu Ming in one fell swoop? One of the generals asked. Help the 10-Direction Sword sect? What good would that do us? Duke Zhenan sneered coldly, as if he had everything under control. Isn't it good like this? The internal battle of the 10-Directional Sword School will exhaust each other. When both sides have suffered heavy losses, we will lead the army and wipe out the Burning Sun Empire in one fell swoop. The entire Burning Sun Empire will come under our command. Your Highness is wise. In the conference hall of Shifang Mountain, there were dozens of people in the hall. They were all the upper echelons of the 10-Direction Sword sect and Heavenly Fiend sect. Heavenly King Zhen and Qiuwang were also among them. Qiuwang was sitting at the head of the table. How's the situation now? Qiuwang asked. Sect leader, right now the two armies are at war with each other. Neither side can truly suppress the other. A golden-robed elder of the 10 Directions Sword School reported. And the other party is very cunning and heavily guarded. We've repeatedly sent assassins to assassinate their experts, but they've discovered us in advance and killed the assassins we sent. Another gold-robed elder reported. That's right. The most difficult to deal with was Lu Ming's Blood-Red Iron Cavalry. They caused a lot of casualties on our side. The gold-robed elder from before sighed. Bang! Qiuwang slammed the table with a gloomy face and shouted, Lu Ming again. Chapter 350. 350 Qiu Changkong's Secret. At the mention of Lu Ming, Qiuwang's face darkened and his killing intent soared. It was all because of Lu Ming that the situation had fallen into such a state and the omnipresent sword sect was in such a passive position. According to Qiu Weiyang's plan, everything should have been perfect, and the Blazing Sun Empire should have been unified by now. It was all because of Lu Ming's interference that his plan was completely ruined. I must get rid of this Lu Ming as soon as possible. Qiu Weiyang gritted his teeth. It's difficult to get rid of Lu Ming. A gold-robed elder sighed. Lu Ming's own combat strength was very strong, and he had a half-step king following him at all times. It was almost impossible to kill him. What about Yin Tianjue? Still no response? Qiu Weiyang asked. No, the messenger he sent said that Yin Tianjue didn't see him at all. Damn it, Yin Tianjue, that old fox. He's waiting for us to both suffer losses so that he can benefit from it. Qiu Weiyang shouted angrily. Sect leader, you don't have to worry so much. It won't take long for us to destroy the mystical sword sect, the Crimson Cloud Valley, and Lu Ming. At this moment, a clear voice was heard. As soon as he said that, everyone's eyes turned to the person who spoke. This man was in his 20s, and he was Qiu Changkong. Zhang Kong, do you have a way to solivere this? Qiu Weiyang asked. Sect leader, and all the seniors present, have you all forgotten that the day of recruitment for the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, which happens once every 5 years, is about to arrive? Qiu Changkong laughed. The Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace is recruiting Empyrean Heaven Divine Guards. Qiu Weiyang was stunned at first, but then he seemed to have thought of something and said ecstatically, that's right. Look at how anxious I am. I've forgotten about this. Changkong, with the help of that person, there's a great chance for you to join the Emperor Sky Divine Guards. As long as you join the Emperor Sky Divine Guards and borrow a little of the Emperor Sky Divine Palace's power, the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, the Crimson Cloud Valley, and Lu Ming will all be annihilated with the flip of a hand. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? Some of the golden-robed elders of the 10-Direction Sword School also laughed in a carefree manner. As for the experts from Heavenly Fiend Sect, they were a little puzzled. Brother Qiu, as far as I know, the Detian Divine Guards only recruit once every 5 years. All of them are extremely rare and monstrous geniuses. Furthermore, they're not recruiting from the 36 countries of Emperor Yun, but from the entire eastern region of the Tianxian region. The eastern region of the Tianxian region is extremely vast. The Cloud Emperor mountain range that the 36 nations of the Cloud Emperor Empire are located in is merely a small part of it. There are many regions that are larger than the Cloud Emperor mountain range, and it can be said that geniuses are as common as clouds. It's not that I'm looking down on nephew Changkong, but your talent is naturally extremely shocking. However, it's still a long story if you want to join the Emperor Sky Divine Guards. The sect master of Heavenly Fiends Sect said from the side. The Divine Wilderness continent had many large regions. The Cloud Emperor mountain range was located in the Tianxian region. The Tianxian region was extremely vast, and the Cloud Emperor mountain range was just an unremarkable mountain range in the Tianxian region. Even though Qiu Changkong's strength was unparalleled in the Blazing Sun Empire, and countless young geniuses paled in comparison to him, he was nothing in the entire eastern region of the Tianxian region. On the other hand, Qiu Changkong, Qiu Weiyang, and the elder from the 10-Direction Sword Sect seemed very confident. It was no wonder that Tiansha sect leader was confused. There's something that Brothers Wu doesn't know. There's no harm in telling you. Changkong has always been talented and intelligent since young. When he was young, he was taken in as an in-name disciple by a major character from the eastern branch of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. During these years, that major character would occasionally come to the 10 Directions Sword Sect to guide Changkong. Qiu Weiyang smiled proudly. What? Nephew Changkong was accepted as an in-name disciple by a major character of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace? The sect master of Heavenly Fiend Sect stood up from his chair with a loud bang and was practically shouting. The Heavenly King of Suppression and a few other experts from Heavenly Fiend Sect had the same expression. Shocking, this was too shocking. A major character in the Eastern Palace of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. What kind of existence was that? He had actually taken a fancy to Qiu Changkong and accepted him as an in-name disciple. Although he was only an in-name disciple and not a true disciple, it was already shocking enough. No wonder Qiu Changkong could be so much ahead of the other geniuses and enter the Cloud Emperor ranking. He even killed a genius on the Cloud Emperor ranking not long ago. I see. The Tiansha sect master sighed as he looked at Qiu Changkong with envy. We'll pull back our forces now and maintain a stalemate with the mystical sword sect. When Changkong becomes an Empyrean Heaven Divine Guard, we'll be able to use a bit of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace's power and annihilate the mystical sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley in an instant. Qiu Weiyang laughed. Lu Ming, Lu Yuntian, the martial emperor's treasure is mine. Let's see how long you can hide. Qiu Changkong's eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. Ever since the news that Lu Ming was Lu Yuntian spread, Qiu Changkong had deduced that Lu Yuntian was Lu Ming's father and that Lu Ming was the one who had saved Lu Yuntian. Lu Yuntian has been holding back for so many years because he wants to pass on the secret of the martial emperor's treasure to his son. Lu Ming, you should know about the secret of the martial emperor's treasure by now, right? Well, I'll pry it out of you. Qiu Changkong's eyes flashed with a sinister light. After a short while, Qiu Weiyang gave the order for the Shifang sword sect to withdraw their forces and start defending, waiting for the day when the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace recruited the Empyrean Heaven Divine Guards. They didn't have to wait long. A month later, both sides stopped fighting at the same time. The higher-ups of both sides issued orders that not even small conflicts were allowed to happen. Anyone who violated this order would be executed. Because on this day, an emissary from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace had arrived at the blazing Sun Empire. Every time the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace was about to recruit the Empyrean Heaven Divine Guards, they would send out emissaries to patrol the various countries and send out invitations to those geniuses. Only geniuses who received an invitation letter could participate in the selection of the Ditian Divine Guards. With the arrival of the emissary from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, both parties naturally did not dare to start a war, for fear of causing the emissary to be unhappy. Both parties were waiting for the emissaries of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace to send out their invitations. In a secret chamber in the 10-square mountain, Qiu Weiyang and Qiu Changkong were sitting opposite each other. Zhang Kong, Lu Ming's talent is also extremely shocking. If he were to participate in the Ditian Divine Guard selection, he might pose a threat to you. Although this threat is very small, you can't let him off. Qiu Weiyang said. Lu Ming, he won't be able to receive the invitation. Qiu Changkong said with a cold smile on his face. You can't get an invitation? Could he be the master of your Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace? Qiu Weiyang was overjoyed. Qiu Changkong shook his head. It's just a small matter. There's no need to trouble Master. It's one of my senior brothers. I've already sent him a message. Lu Ming won't be able to receive the invitation. Qiu Changkong laughed coldly and said with a hint of pride. This is great. Qiu Weiyang laughed. Chapter 351. 351 Lu Ming did not. After a few days. In the conference hall of the Mystical Sword Sect, the higher-ups of the Mystical Sword Sect, the Crimson Cloud Valley, Lu Ming, Hua Qi, and the others were all gathered for a discussion. The Emperor's Sky Divine Guard selection is an opportunity to break the stalemate between the two sides of the blazing Sun Empire. I reckon that the 10-Direction Sword Sect will definitely seize this opportunity and let Qiu Changkong participate in the Emperor's Sky Divine Guard selection. Once Qiu Changkong successfully joins the Emperor's Sky Divine Guard, we'll all be in danger. The first to speak was Lin Shui. That's right. The Emperor's Sky Divine Guards have great authority. When the time comes, even a little bit of their power will be terrifying. With Qiu Changkong's talent, although he might not be able to join the Emperor's Sky Divine Guards, the truth is hard to predict. Even if he becomes a reserve Emperor Sky Divine Guard, he'll still be a great danger. The Valley Master of the Scarlet Cloud Valley, Ling Padian, nodded and said, "We also need someone on our side to become a Ditian Divine Guard before we can fight against Qiu Changkong." Someone sighed. The next moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Lu Ming. On their side, only Lu Ming's talent was unparalleled, and he had the potential to fight Qiu Changkong. The Ditian Divine Guards. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. It was reasonable to say that he should stay away from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, because the Palace Master of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Martial Emperor Du, was his destined enemy. However, Martial Emperor Du was still far away from the Tianxian region, so he didn't have to worry about it for the time being. Moreover, Lu Ming also yearned to become an Emperor Sky Divine Guard. It was said that the Ditian Divine Guards were all peerless geniuses from all over the world, and they were unimaginably powerful. Only by constantly clashing with these monsters could he become stronger, stimulate his potential, and improve quickly. Seeing that Lu Ming was deep in thought, everyone looked at him without saying a word. If Lu Ming did not wish to participate in the Ditian Divine Guard selection, they would not force him. "I'm willing to go, but I don't know how to go," Lu Ming said. The others were overjoyed to see Lu Ming nodding. It's very easy to participate. The emissary of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace is currently patrolling the Blazing Sun Empire. It won't be long before he sends out an invitation letter to the geniuses of the Blazing Sun Empire. Only with an invitation letter can one participate in the selection of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Guards. The Valley Master was overjoyed. "Oh, so that's how it is." Lu Ming nodded. "Marquee champion, with your talent, you'll definitely receive an invitation. Although the Empyrean Heaven Divine Guards will be facing the endless eastern territory of the Tianxian region, where there are countless geniuses, it's not impossible for you to get a reserve position for the Empyrean Heaven Divine Guards with your talent. At that time, you'll have the confidence to fight against Qiu Changkong." Lin Shui stroked her beard and her face revealed a happy expression. Preparing for the Ditian Divine Guard? It might not be? Lu Ming was stunned. Could it be that Lin Shui thought that he couldn't even get into the reserve Ditian Divine Guard? Lin Shui seemed to have read Lu Ming's mind and explained, "Marquee champion, the eastern part of the Tianxian region is too vast. The Cloud Emperor mountain range we are in is just a corner of the region. Beyond the Cloud Emperor mountain range, there are many other regions that are even larger than the Cloud Emperor mountain range. Each region has many powerful empires. For example, there is a region near the Cloud Emperor mountain range called the Thousand River region. There are more than 100 empires in this region. The strongest one is a high-level empire. It is 100 times stronger than the Burning Sun Empire. There are many geniuses and monstrous talents. This is only the Thousand River region. There are other stronger regions, so the competition is too strong." Lin Shui finished and sighed. "That's right." In the past, even when all the geniuses on the Cloud Emperor's list were annihilated, none of them became reserve Emperor Sky Divine Guards. The geniuses on the Cloud Emperor's list this time are much stronger. However, I predict that there will be no more than 3 who can become real Emperor Sky Divine Guards and no more than 10 who can become reserve Emperor Sky Divine Guards. The Valley Master also sighed. Lu Ming was speechless. Less than 3 of the geniuses on the Cloud Emperor's list could become official Ditian Divine Guards. The competition was really terrifying. However, the next moment, Lu Ming's eyes were burning with flames again, and his blood was boiling. Wasn't this what he wanted? To fight with geniuses and heroes, to break the shackles, to realize self-ascension, and to constantly surpass. Looking at Lu Ming's burning fighting spirit, Lin Shui and the rest looked at each other. They saw hope in each other's eyes. Given the situation in the Blazing Sun Empire, they could only pin their hopes on Lu Ming. At this moment, Lin Shui's expression suddenly changed. She waved her hand, and a 10,000-mile sound transmission talisman appeared in her hand. He was overjoyed when he saw the message in the talisman. The emissary from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace has sent someone over. He's probably here to issue an invitation. Let's go and welcome him. The group hurriedly walked out of the hall and flew outside. In the sky outside the mystical sword sect, a young man stood alone with his hands behind his back. The young man was about 26 or 27 years old. He wore a purple robe and was filled with a noble aura. I am the sect master of the mystical sword sect, Lin Shui. Greetings, emissary of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. I am the valley master of the Scarlet Cloud Valley, Ling Padian. Greetings, emissary of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. Lin Shui and Ling Padian hurriedly cupped their fists and saluted. N. The young man in purple nodded his head and glanced at Lin Shui and Ling Padian. It's good that the Crimson Cloud Valley is here. It saves me the trouble of making an extra trip. After saying that, 2 golden invitation letters appeared in the purple-robed young man's hands. With a wave of his hand, the 2 invitation letters flew towards Lin Shui and Ling Padian. Lin Shui and Ling Padian reached out to receive it. These 2 invitation letters, one for Feng Wuji and the other for Ling Yanqi. Get them to bring the invitation letters to the Cloud Desolate Empire to participate in the preliminaries. The young man in purple said indifferently. The young man in purple turned around and was about to leave. Envoy, please wait. Lin Shui hurriedly called out. What's wrong? Do you have any questions? The young man in purple turned around with a cold expression. Emissary, may I ask why Lu Ming doesn't have an invitation? Lin Shui asked carefully. Lu Ming. The young man in purple sneered and said, what's so strange about not having an invitation? It just means that he's not qualified. All right, there are no other questions. That's it. Emissary. Lin Shui gritted her teeth and shouted again, Messenger, did you make a mistake? With Lu Ming's talent and reputation, how could he not have an invitation? Can the messenger help to ask the higher-ups? That's right, emissary. I think there's really a mistake. How could the marquee champion Lu Ming not have an invitation? Ling Padian also said. Even Feng Wuji and Ling Yanqi had invitation letters, how could Lu Ming not have one? One must know that Lu Ming could already kill geniuses at the level of the 6 Scorching Sun heroes. During the battle with the mystical sword sect, Duanmu Lin was even killed by him. One must know that Duanmu Lin had defeated Feng Wuji. In the end, Feng Wuji had an invitation but Lu Ming did not. It was really strange. Dragon Emperor's Road to Eternity. Chapter 352. 352 The Young Half-Step King. What's wrong? Are you guys suspecting me? Or are you doubting the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace? The young man in purple's face turned cold as he stared at Lin Shui and Ling Padian with hostility. Lin Shui and Ling Potion's expressions changed. However, whether Lu Ming could participate in the assessment was related to the situation in the Burning Sun Empire and the life and death of the mystical sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley. He had to be clear about this. Emissary, it's a misunderstanding. However, Lu Ming does not have an invitation. It's really strange. Could you please report this to the higher-ups? Lin Shui gritted her teeth and continued. Impudent. Before Lin Shui could finish her sentence, the young man in purple shouted. At the same time, a terrifying aura burst out from the young man in purple. This aura was as heavy as a mountain and as vast as the ocean. It was extremely powerful and vast. Half-Step King. Lin Shui and Ling Padian exclaimed in unison. At the same time, a powerful aura erupted from their bodies to offset this force. However, their bodies couldn't help but sway and retreat 3 steps. Strong, he was too strong. Everyone was shocked and stared at the young man in purple with wide eyes. No one would have thought that this purple-robed youth was actually a half-step king. He looked like he was only 26 or 27 years old. At such a young age, he had already reached the half-step king realm. This was truly shocking. Moreover, It seemed that he was even stronger than Lin Shui. Is this the strength of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace? Just a random young man who came to the Blazing Sun Empire to deliver an invitation letter is already so powerful. At the side, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed and his expression turned grave. The Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace naturally has their own reasons for doing things. How can I allow you all to be suspicious? Since this is your first offense, I won't pursue it. But if there's a next time, I don't mind killing you all. The young man in purple's eyes were gloomy as he spoke coldly. He was filled with an arrogant attitude. Sect leader Lin, say no more. Lu Ming had sent a voice transmission to Lin Shui. Lin Shui and Ling Padian let out a long sigh and didn't say anything else. Umph. The young man in purple snorted coldly and left with a wave of his sleeve. Just as he turned around, he glanced at Lu Ming with a cold look in his eyes. Although it was just a flash, Lu Ming still caught it. What was going on? I've never seen this person before, and I don't have any grudges with the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. Why does this person look at me with a hint of coldness in his eyes? Lu Ming frowned and pondered. What's going on? Why didn't the Marquis Champion receive an invitation? Ling Potion's temper was more impatient, and as soon as the young man in purple left, Ling Padian cried out. That's right, this matter is too strange. Lin Shui's brows were also tightly furrowed, full of worry. Without an invitation, one could not take part in the Ditian Divine Guard assessment. If Qiu Changkong hadn't joined the Ditian Divine Guards, it would have been fine. But if he had joined the Ditian Divine Guards, even if he was only a reserve, they would all be in danger. Sect leaders, Marquis Champion, I have a guess, but I don't know if it's true or not. At this moment, an old voice was heard. An old man with white hair walked out. Senior Hua, do you have any guesses? Lin Shui hurriedly asked. This old man was a senior of the royal family. Even if Hua Jingxing was still alive, he would have to call this man uncle. His seniority was extremely high, and his cultivation was at the 9th level of the martial ancestor realm. He was the only 9th level martial ancestor expert left in the imperial family. The old imperial uncle pondered for a moment before saying, I like to make friends with people from all over the world. I even have friends in the 10-direction sword sect. I once heard a secret that when Qiu Changkong was young, he was taken in as an in-name disciple by an important figure in the eastern branch of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. What? Qiu Changkong is an in-name disciple of an important figure in the eastern branch of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace? The old imperial uncle's words were like a bomb, causing everyone's minds to rumble. All of them looked at the old imperial uncle in shock. Senior, is what you said true? Lin Shui's voice was trembling. The old imperial uncle nodded and said, there shouldn't be a mistake. Sisigu. Everyone gasped, and the atmosphere became extremely oppressive and heavy. If that's the case, Qiu Changkong must have done something. Otherwise, with the Marquis Champion's talent, how could he not have received an invitation? Lin Shui said in a deep voice, her eyes were filled with seriousness. What should we do? With such a powerful figure backing Qiu Changkong, doesn't that mean that he'll definitely be able to join the Empyrean Sky Divine Guards? A golden-robed elder said. That's not necessarily the case. The selection of the Ditian Divine Guards has its own rules. You can't join just because you have a backer. In the end, it still depends on your own strength. Ling Padian said. Not bad. The others all nodded. Even so, the atmosphere at the scene was still extremely oppressive. Seniors, there's no need to be so worried. At that time, it'll just be a battle. Who will win? Before the battle, who would know? At this moment, Lu Ming shouted. There was no sign of dejection on his face. He stood straight, still confident and determined, like a divine spear that could shatter the heavens. So what if Qiu Changkong had a powerful backer? At most, it would just be a battle. Marquis Champion is right. Things haven't reached the worst point yet. We don't have to be discouraged. Right now, The only way is to keep improving our strength. Lin Shui said. After that, everyone returned to the main hall and discussed for a while before leaving. It was just that everyone's heart was weighed down by a huge stone, and it was difficult to let go for a while. Lu Ming returned to the Blood Red Army camp's main tent and entered the Supreme Shrine. He sat down cross-legged. No matter what the situation is, as long as you are strong enough, you can solver everything. Lu Ming thought to himself. Then, he waved his hand and a pile of spiritual herbs appeared on the platform. Lu Ming planned to start cultivating the 10,000 spiritual combat body. It had been a while since he had cultivated his physical body. The reason was that he didn't have any high-level spiritual herbs. Those level 1 and level 2 spiritual herbs were not effective in cultivating and were a waste of time. During this period of time, there had been many battles. Lu Ming had killed a large number of martial arts grandmasters and obtained their storage rings. There were quite a number of level 4 spiritual herbs. Previously, Lu Ming had already achieved initial success in the 5th grade physical body. Only level 4 spiritual herbs would have a greater effect on his improvement. With a wave of his hand, 2 level 4 spiritual herbs were caught in Lu Ming's hand. He began to circulate the 10,000 spiritual combat body. Not long after, the 2 spiritual herbs turned into the chi of myriad spirits and seeped into the depths of Lu Ming's body, refining the strength of his physical body. After refining 2, he took out another 2. Time slowly passed as Lu Ming cultivated. Vermilion Bird Hall, Yen Lan's residence. Lan, do you really want to go to that place? Yen Lan looked at Mu Lan anxiously. Grandfather, is there any other way? Only by going to that place can we get an invitation for Lu Ming and let him participate in the selection of the Ditian Divine Guards. Mu Lan said with a determined expression. Lan, you have to consider this carefully. Yen Lan sighed. Chapter 353. 353 Lu Ming's invitation. Grandfather, with Lu Ming's talent, joining the Ditian Divine Guards is the best choice. Only then can he fully display his talent and achieve greater achievements. Moreover, only by doing so can we save the mystical sword sect and keep you safe, grandfather. Mulan said. Lan, are you yourself? I've been wronged. Yen Lan said worriedly. Grandpa, don't you trust Lu Ming? I believe in him. As long as he joins the Ditian Divine Guards, he'll be able to truly return my freedom. At this point, Mulan's eyes glowed. It was the light of her firm belief in Lu Ming. It's difficult. Although Lu Ming is extremely talented, that's only in the Blazing Sun Empire. In the Imperial Sky Divine Guards, he's very ordinary. It's difficult to achieve that. Yen Lan sighed. Grandpa, I believe in my judgment. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'll be going now, Grandpa. With that, Mu Lan bowed to Yen Lan and then floated away, disappearing from the Vermilion Bird Hall. Lu Ming naturally knew nothing about this. 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. In 7 days, Lu Ming had refined more than 500 level 4 spiritual herbs and cultivated his physical body to the perfected 5th grade physical body. However, at this point, no matter how many spiritual herbs Lu Ming refined, his physical body could not break through. He was completely stuck at the perfected 5th grade physical body. It seems that level 4 spiritual herbs are too low. They can't help my body break through to level 6. Lu Ming pondered secretly. Do I need level 5 spiritual herbs or other level 5 treasures? At the thought of this, Lu Ming shook his head and smiled bitterly. Level 5 spiritual herbs and other level 5 treasures were equivalent to king tiers. If they were treasures that even king tiers could use, how precious would they be? It was something that could only be encountered and not sought. I'll put my fleshly body aside for now. A complete 5th grade fleshly body is enough for now. Even among half-step kings, not many people have a 5th grade fleshly body. Many martial artists who did not focus on cultivating their bodies would not even reach the 5th grade when they reached the half-step king realm. Only after stepping into the martial king realm and going through the power of heaven and earth, as well as the transformation of the true essence unique to kings, could one's body reach the 5th grade. In other words, Lu Ming's current physical body was no longer inferior to those martial kings who did not specialize in physical cultivation. Of course, that was only his physical body. His combat strength was still miles away from that of a martial king. After that, Lu Ming began to study the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps. The 9 dragons' sky-treading steps and the last of the 3 palms, the heavenly path palm, were the martial arts techniques that Lu Ming had to comprehend and cultivate every day. However, the cultivation of these 2 martial arts techniques was too difficult. Up until now, Lu Ming had not succeeded in cultivating the 2nd step of the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps. As for the heaven's path palm, he knew nothing about it. Time flew by and another 5 days passed. There were only a few days left before the start of the Ditian Divine Guard's preliminary competition. On this day, Mulan came to look for Lu Ming. "Senior sister Mulan, I heard that you've been out during this period of time?" Lu Ming asked Mulan with a smile. "N." Mulan hummed softly and looked at Lu Ming, seemingly deep in thought. Senior sister Mulan seems to have something on her mind. Lu Ming's heart stirred. However, since Mulan didn't say anything, he didn't ask. After a long while, Lu Ming's palm glowed and a golden piece of paper suddenly appeared. "This is an invitation to the Ditian Divine Guard selection?" Lu Ming's eyes flickered and he could not help but blurt out. Mulan nodded. She opened the invitation and revealed the words inside. Blazing Sun Empire, Lu Ming. On the invitation, there were 6 words in gold. "Why is it me?" Lu Ming's pupils suddenly shrank and he cried out in disbelief. In the beginning, Lu Ming thought that Mulan had taken out someone else's invitation. It was like the wind, Fearless, and Ling Yanqi. He had never expected his name to be on the invitation. "Lu Ming, this is the invitation letter for the Ditian Divine Guard selection. Take it. I hope that you can defeat Qiu Changkong and successfully join the Ditian Divine Guard." Mulan finally revealed a faint smile. "Senior sister Mulan, where did you get this invitation?" Lu Ming asked, feeling extremely curious. The invitation from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace couldn't be faked because there were special inscriptions carved on it that made it easy to distinguish. No one would dare to impersonate him unless they wanted to die. "I, your senior sister, have my own ways. You don't have to worry about that. Take it and perform well. I believe in you." Mulan passed the invitation to Lu Ming and said with a smile. Lu Ming received it in a daze. "Lu Ming, I might have to leave the mystical sword sect from today onwards." Suddenly, Mulan sighed. "What? Senior sister Mulan, you're leaving the mystical sword sect? Are you going to gain experience, or?" Lu Ming asked hurriedly. He felt that things were very strange. "None of them." Mulan shook her head and studied Lu Ming carefully. After a while, she said, "Lu Ming, as long as you join the Ditian Divine Guards, perhaps we'll meet again." Mulan suddenly stepped forward and pulled Lu Ming into her arms. Lu Ming was stunned. The next moment he felt 2 lumps of meat squeezed on his chest. They were shockingly elastic. Mulan's body fragrance wafted into his nose, making Lu Ming's heart beat rapidly. Mulan hugged Lu Ming tightly. After a long while, she suddenly let go of him. Her face was flushed red. She glanced at Lu Ming, then turned around and left. "Lu Ming, join the Ditian Divine Guard. I look forward to seeing you again." The voice came faintly, but the beauty had already disappeared. "Senior sister Mulan." Lu Ming stared in the direction that Mulan had left in a daze. He did not come back to his senses for a long time. Lu Ming only came to his senses after a long while. What's going on? Why would senior sister Mulan have an invitation from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace? Also, where is she going? Lu Ming's heart was full of doubts. Buzz! Lu Ming's figure moved and he appeared in the sky. He looked into the distance and saw that Mulan had already left. He did not know where she went. Dean, yes, go and ask the dean. Lu Ming thought of Yan Lan. Yan Lan was Mulan's grandfather, so she should know the inside story. After a while, Lu Ming found Yan Lan in the Vermilion Bird Hall. It had been a while since they last met, and Yan Lan seemed to have aged a lot. Lu Ming's heart tightened and he felt that something was not right. Lu Ming, take a seat. Yan Lan invited Lu Ming to take a seat and poured him a cup of tea. I knew you'd come looking for me. You want to ask about Lan, right? Yan Lan said. Not bad. Lu Ming nodded and immediately asked his question. Yan Lan was silent. He seemed to have fallen into deep memories. After a while he sighed. Lu Ming, I'll tell you everything. That girl Lan is stubborn. She won't say anything. Lu Ming, you know that I'm Lan Er's grandfather, but you've never met her parents, have you? Yan Lan said. Lu Ming was stunned and immediately shook his head. It was true that he had never met Mulan's parents before, nor had he heard Mulan mention them. Lan Er's mother passed away a long time ago. As for Lan Er's father, he's an important figure in the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. Yan Lan revealed a shocking secret. Chapter 354. 354 Mulan's past. What? Lu Ming was dumbfounded and shocked. Mulan's father was actually a big shot in the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. This had completely exceeded his expectations. Since Mulan's father was an important figure in the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, why did Mulan stay in the mystical sword sect instead of cultivating in the palace? The cultivation conditions in the palace were definitely not something that the mystical sword sect could compare to. Yan Lan seemed to have read Lu Ming's mind and continued, Lan Er's father is a major character in the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. He is extremely tyrannical and acts arbitrarily. Before Lan Er turned 15, she was in the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. However, her father tried to control her. After that, without Lan Er's consent, his father arranged a marriage for her. The marriage partner is a peerless genius of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. However, Lan Er didn't like him at all. Therefore, in a fit of anger, she ran out of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace and came to my place. Yan Lan's answer cleared up many of Lu Ming's doubts. Lu Ming understood now. Mulan must have helped him get his invitation card when she returned to the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. This made Lu Ming even more worried. He said, Did senior sister Mulan return to the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace this time? Wouldn't that mean we're facing marriage? He did not know why, but he felt a little uncomfortable at the thought of Mulan being engaged to someone else. That's right. In order to obtain that invitation, Lan Er has already promised her father to stay in the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. Now, the only person who can save her and prevent her from marrying someone she doesn't like is you. Yan Lan said. Me? Lu Ming was stunned. That's right. Lan Er once made an agreement with her father. Lan Er said that the person she liked would definitely be stronger than the genius of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. One day, she would bring the person she liked to the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace and defeat that genius to break off the engagement. That person is you. Yan Lan looked at Lu Ming with bright eyes. Me? I'm fucked. Lu Ming's eyes almost popped out. The person Mulan likes? Lu Ming's heart was beating rapidly. He recalled the various things that happened when Mulan left. Taking a deep breath to calm himself down, Lu Ming said firmly, Principal, don't worry. I'll definitely join the Detian Divine Guards and defeat that genius to return senior sister Mulan her freedom. It's difficult. Yan Lan sighed and said, I heard from Lan Er that the genius had already broken through to the Martial King realm 3 years ago. Now, I don't even know what realm he has reached. That genius is only 1 year older than Lan. Martial King. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. Mulan was not even 23 years old. In other words, the the genius of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, was only 24 years old. 3 years ago, he was only 21 years old. Breaking through to the martial king realm at the age of 21 was truly terrifying. Lu Ming was 18 years old now, almost 19 years old. However, he was not confident that he could break through to the martial king realm at 21 years old. He was indeed a terrifying genius. The geniuses of the Blazing Sun Empire, no, even the geniuses on the Cloud Emperor ranking were a pile of trash compared to him. After a while, Lu Ming's eyes burst with a strong fighting spirit and an unshakable determination. Don't worry, Di. No matter how strong he is, I'll defeat him sooner or later and set senior sister Mulan free. Alright, Lan believes in you, and so do I. However, Lu Ming, with your current cultivation and combat strength, it'll be very difficult for you to join the Ditian Divine Guards. I hope you can make another breakthrough. Yan Lan's eyes seemed to reveal a trace of hope. After that, Lu Ming chatted with Yan Lan for a while before he bade farewell and left. A day later, the news that Lu Ming had received an invitation to the Ditian Divine Guard selection spread among the higher-ups of the Mystical Sword Sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley. This caused those who knew to be shocked, and then they were overjoyed. Although they were curious as to how Lu Ming had obtained the invitation, that was not the main point. The main point was that Lu Ming could participate in the selection of the Ditian Divine Guards, which gave them a glimmer of hope. At this time, the preliminaries of the 36 countries of Emperor Yun were getting closer and closer, and it was time to set off. Lu Ming bade farewell to Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. Qiu Yu said that she had not seen Lu Yuntian and Li Ping for a long time and wanted to stay by their side to take care of them. Naturally, Lu Ming nodded in agreement. On the other hand, Xian Yanqing wanted to go with Lu Ming. The reason was that he wanted to meet the geniuses from the 36 countries of Emperor Yun. 2 days later, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Feng Wuji, and Ling Yanqi left the Mystical Sword Sect and headed west. Lu Ming did not bring the Golden-Eyed Blood Corpse or the Flame Spring. The Golden-Eyed Blood Corpse and Yen Quan were important forces in the battle. If they left, it would be bad for the battle. Moreover, Lu Ming had the intention of leaving the Golden-Eyed Blood Corpse behind to protect Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. The Cloud Desolate Empire was one of the 8 medium empires in the Cloud Emperor mountain range. However, it was very powerful and was ranked first among the 8 medium empires. This was why the Cloud Emperor mountain range preliminaries were held in the Cloud Desolate Empire's imperial capital. Starting from the Mystical Sword Sect, one would have to pass through 8 empires along the way. It was a long journey of more than 700,000 li. However, with everyone's cultivation, if they flew at full speed, it was still quite easy to fly 10,000 miles in an hour. Including the rest time, they used 5 days to rush to the Cloud Desolate Empire's imperial capital. The Cloud Desolate Empire was indeed worthy of being the strongest empire among the 36 countries of Emperor Yun. Just the imperial capital alone was 10 times larger than the Burning Sun Empire's imperial capital. It was grand and majestic, with no end in sight. On the city wall, rows of armored soldiers patrolled. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed when he saw them. These armored soldiers were actually martial artists of the great martial master realm. Each of them had powerful auras and penetrating gazes. Lu Ming secretly sighed. The #1 empire in the Cloud Emperor mountain range was really powerful. After entering the city gate, the inside was extremely spacious. The street was 200 meters wide, and all kinds of beast roars could be heard. Many people were riding all kinds of mounts and strolling on the streets. Lu Ming even saw a martial artist riding a huge python that was more than 30 meters long and as thick as a water tank wandering on the street. On both sides of the street, there were many shops. A few spirit weapon shops were sparkling with treasure light. In some spirit herb shops, the fragrance of herbs assailed the nose. Lu Ming and the few of them walked as they watched, full of admiration. On the way, they could see young martial artists passing by from time to time, all of them with an imposing appearance and extraordinary aura. One look and one could tell that they were dragons and phoenixes among people. They should all be here to participate in the qualifiers. Brother Lu, Brother Feng, Miss Xie, let's find a place to eat. We've been hurrying on our journey these past few days and haven't had a good meal. I'm so tired of eating. Ling Yanqi touched his stomach and grinned. All right. Lu Ming nodded. The few of them walked around for a while and came to the front of a restaurant. The Drunken Pavilion was the name of this restaurant. It was 7 stories high and covered an area of several acres. Dear guests, please come in. At the entrance of the restaurant, a waiter came to greet them. Chapter 355. 355 The Blue Blade Family. The 4 of them followed the waiter and arrived at the 5th floor of the restaurant. The 5th floor was extremely spacious. On one side, there were private rooms, and on the other side, there was a hall. They didn't choose a private room, but found a seat by the window. From this position, he could see a lake from the window. The lake was clear like a mirror, and when the breeze blew, it was extremely comfortable. Waiter, if there's anything good to eat, bring it all to me. Also, bring me 4 jars of good wine. Ling Yanqi shouted. All right. The waiter replied. It was very fast, and it didn't take long for a table full of food and wine to be served. The 4 of them ate while listening to the conversations of the other people in the restaurant. It's really lively recently. All the great geniuses can't sit still anymore. There's competition from time to time. That's right, I've seen a few battles on the Cloud Emperor board. That level of cultivation is really shocking. The ordinary geniuses on the Cloud Emperor ranking are still okay, especially those who are ranked higher. They are really terrifying. Half a month ago, Ji Ruffing, the 7th genius on the Cloud Emperor ranking, killed 3 late-stage martial grandmasters in Tianyuan Peak with 1 strike. That's more terrifying. That's nothing. I heard that 10 days ago, a sect angered the 2nd-ranked young master of the Cloud Emperor ranking, Wei Tianxi. Wei Tianxi went to the sect and annihilated the entire sect. That sect had a few 9-grade martial ancestor realm experts. What? There's actually such a thing? Wei Tianxi is too terrifying. Lu Ming and the other 3 heard the discussions around them. Feng Wuji and Ling Yanqi were shocked. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with solemnness. It was impossible for Lu Ming to kill 3 martial arts grandmasters in the later stage of the 8th level with a single sword strike, let alone annihilate a sect that had a few martial arts grandmaster 9th level powerhouses. The top geniuses on the Cloud Emperor board were indeed amazing. Also, there's a young master Hualing who recently emerged. He defeated Yuan Zhifei, who was ranked 15th on the Cloud Emperor ranking. He's the strongest dark horse. That's right. This person can be said to be the strongest among the rising stars. Don't forget that there's another person who's also a dark horse. Oh, who is it? Qiu Weiyang. He was born in the small blazing sun empire, but he rose to power. He was ranked 36th on the Cloud Emperor ranking and killed the genius ranked 22nd not long ago. I heard that 5 days ago, Qian Jun, who was ranked 11th on the Cloud Emperor ranking, also suffered a loss at his hands. What? Qian Jun had actually lost to Qiu Changkong? Qiu Changkong is so terrifying, he's going to make it into the top 10. In the Cloud Emperor mountain range, this generation of young people is indeed very powerful. I wonder if they can compete with the geniuses from other regions. Qiu Changkong has actually become so strong. Feng Wuji murmured, his eyes were filled with shock and fear. As one of the Scorching Sun's 6 heroes, the difference between us and him is too great. Ling Yanqi sighed and was also very serious. The stronger Qiu Changkong was, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He did not say anything and continued drinking. Xian Yanqing's mouth twitched slightly, and he seemed to be a little disdainful. Then, the 4 of them ate while listening. Squeak. At this moment, the door of another private room opened, and 4 young men walked out. These 4 young men were all wearing blue robes, embroidered with a sky-blue long blade. This is a person from the Cloud Desolate Empire's Blue Blade family. Could the person in the box be an important figure of the Blue Blade family? I know who it is. It's the second young master of the Blue Blade family, Lan Yunfei. I saw him go in earlier. The four blue-robed young men caused a wave of discussion to break out, but the voices were very low, as if they were very afraid. The four youths from the Blue Blade family were actually walking towards Lu Ming and the other three. He walked to the four of them, and one of them, a young man in a blue robe, cupped his fists and said, "May I know where the four of you are from?" Although he cupped his fists, his tone was arrogant, as if he was giving an order. Lu Ming frowned slightly. He did not like the other party's attitude. "We are from the Burning Sun Empire." Feng Wuji didn't want to offend anyone. He stood up and clasped his fists. The Burning Sun Empire. When the four blue-robed young men heard this, their eyes revealed a look of contempt. So it's the Scorching Sun Empire, that godforsaken place. All right, I won't waste my breath on you. My second young master is going to invite a friend to a banquet today. This girl looks quite good, so he wants to invite her to accompany him for a drink. All right, come with me. A young man in a blue robe said scornfully. Then he looked at Xian Yanqing and ordered. It turned out that they were here because they had their eyes on Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming frowned again while Feng Wuji and Ling Yanqi looked anxious. Xian Yanqing's eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. He glanced at the four blue-robed young men and said, "Your second young master, which dog is he? Are you worthy of this lady accompanying you to drink?" As soon as he said that, the four blue-robed young men's expressions changed. The expressions of the other people in the restaurant also changed drastically. "She's finished." A mere woman from the Burning Sun Empire dared to call Lan Yunfei a dog. "She's finished. She's doomed to a miserable fate." The Blazing Sun Empire is too small after all. Other than Qiu Changkong, there are no other geniuses. Their knowledge is so shallow that they even dare to offend the Blue Blade family. The other people in the restaurant lowered their voices and whispered among themselves ears, as if they were afraid that the Blue Blade family would hear them. "Bitch, what the fuck did you just say?" A young man in a blue robe pointed at Xian Yanqing and roared. "What did you just call me? Slap your own mouths, 100 each, or I'll break your legs." Xian Yanqing glanced at them and said coldly. The others were shocked. Crazy, too crazy. The Blue Blade family was arrogant, but Xian Yanqing was even more arrogant. I guess she is a rare genius in the Blazing Sun Empire and is used to being arrogant. However, this is not the Blazing Sun Empire, but the Cloud Desolate Empire, where all the geniuses from the 36 countries of the Cloud Desolate Empire are gathered. How can she be arrogant? Someone in the restaurant shook his head and sighed. "What did you just say? Break our legs? Ha, laughable, laughable, a mere piece of trash from the Burning Sun Empire dares to say that he will break our legs. This is too laughable." The four blue-robed young men sneered. "Little bitch, I originally wanted you to drink with me and forget about it. Now, not only do I want you to drink with me, but I also want you to sleep with me. Get over there." A blue-robed young man clawed at Xian Yanqing's hair. The claw contained a powerful true qi. This blue-robed young man was actually a martial arts Grandmaster 3 Dan expert. Feng Wuji and Ling Yanqi's faces changed drastically. They shouted, "Be careful." Bang! The next moment, a figure flew out. It was the blue-robed young man. He flew more than 10 meters away and crashed into a few tables and chairs. He fell to the ground and screamed in pain. His two legs were bent and deformed, having been broken. Chapter 356. 356 Xian Yanqing's Rage. The others were stunned. The blue-robed young man was definitely not a weakling. He had reached the third tier of the martial ancestor realm at such a young age. He was definitely an elite that the Blue Blade family had nurtured with great care. His combat strength was definitely not something that ordinary martial artists of the same realm could compare to. However, in the hands of Xian Yanqing, he couldn't even last one move. Many people didn't even see when Xian Yanqing made his move. Only a small number of geniuses focused their eyes and saw how Xian Yanqing attacked. Little bitch, how dare you hit a member of the Blue Blade family? You're looking for death. Let's attack together. Take this bitch down and torture him. Boom, boom, boom. The remaining 3 blue-robed young men roared as powerful auras erupted from their bodies. Each of them had the cultivation of the 3rd level of the martial ancestor realm. When the 3 of them joined forces, their power was terrifying. Feng Wuji's and Ling Yanqi's expressions changed. They were about to help, but Lu Ming smiled at them, telling them not to worry. Slap his mouth. At this moment, Xian Yanqing shouted and waved his hands. Black lotuses appeared one after another. Then, the black petals broke the 3 young men's attacks like divine blades. Buzz! Xian Yanqing moved and appeared in front of the 3 young men. He extended his palm. Pa, pa, pa. 3 loud slaps were heard and the 3 blue-robed young men were sent flying. Whoosh! Whoosh! Before the 3 young men could land on the ground, Xian Yanqing waved his hand and lotus petals flew towards the legs of the 3 young men. Stop! A furious shout came from the private room. However, Xian Yanqing didn't care at all. The black petals didn't stop. The black petals all hit the legs of the 3 blue-robed young men. By the time they fell to the ground, their legs were already covered in blood and wounds. Even their bones could be seen. CSI! Gasps could be heard all around. What a powerful battle strength, what a ruthless method. If he said he would break their legs, he would immediately break their legs. Buzz! At this time, the sound of something breaking through the air was heard. A blue figure rushed out of the private room and appeared in the hall. The young man looked to be around 23 or 24 years old. He was wearing a sky blue tight-fitting robe, a blue jade belt around his waist, and a pair of blue and gold combat boots. He was full of luxury. However, his face was as dark as winter. Lan Yunfei, it's really him. It's over. That woman is finished. Even her companions are dead for sure. He even dared to beat up the people of the Blue Blade family. Lan Yunfei will never stop. Although Lan Yunfei didn't enter the Cloud Emperor board, he is very close to it. I heard that he has already said that he will definitely enter the Cloud Emperor board this time. Besides the geniuses on the Cloud Emperor ranking, there are only a handful of people who can fight with Lan Yunfei. The other people in the restaurant looked at Xian Yanqing, including Lu Ming, as if they were looking at a dead man. I told you to stop, didn't you hear me? Lan Yunfei looked at Xian Yanqing coldly. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. He didn't get a good look when he was in the room, but now that he got a closer look, he realized that Xian Yanqing was even more stunning. I did, but who are you? Do I have to do as I'm told? Xian Yanqing looked at Lan Yunfei with disdain. Do you know the consequences of not following my orders? If I attack, I'll either die or be injured. Lan Yunfei sneered and continued, but I'll let you go since you're a woman. How about this? I'll lock up the 3 of them first, and you'll come back with me to serve me. If you're comfortable with it, I'll consider letting you go. This condition is already the biggest concession I can make. As Lan Yunfei spoke, his eyes flashed with lust as he scanned Xian Yanqing's body. Xian Yanqing frowned. Lu Ming, Feng Wuji, and Ling Yanqi were all dumbfounded. Is there something wrong with this brother? Didn't he see that there were 4 of them now, while he was alone? He even said that they would be locked up first and asked Xian Yanqing to go back and serve him. Wasn't he too full of himself? Lu Ming had seen many people who felt good about themselves years. However, the man in front of him was definitely ranked first. Brother Feng, Brother Ling, why do you think I'm so unlucky? Why do I have to run into idiots everywhere I go? I'm just having a meal, and I'm actually able to run into such a weird idiot. I'm speechless. Lu Ming picked up a glass of wine and downed it in one gulp, sighing and groaning. Feng Wuji and Ling Yanqi looked at each other and did not say a word. They were not as bold as Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming did not lower his voice, and it spread throughout the entire floor of the restaurant. The scene fell into a dead silence. Everyone looked at Lu Ming in a daze. Lu Ming actually dared to say that about Lan Yunfei. How could these people of the Burning Sun Empire be so arrogant? He's really a country bumpkin who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Many people thought. Kid, who are you talking about? Lan Yunfei let out a furious shriek. His facial features were contorted and he looked at Lu Ming with an extremely sinister expression. I'll say who answered. Lu Ming continued to hold up his wineglass and replied indifferently. He then drank the wine in one gulp. You're looking for death, you're looking for death. Now, I take back what I just said. You're dead. No condition can save you. Lan Yunfei bellowed in rage. A powerful aura burst out from his body. A ray of sword light rushed up and slashed toward Lu Ming. I'm your opponent. Xian Yanqing's eyes turned cold. She waved her hands and a black lotus appeared in front of the sword radiance. Clang! The sword light struck the black lotus flower, causing sparks to fly in all directions. The sword light was blocked. If you dare to stop me, I'll kill you as well. Lan Yunfei was completely enraged. His killing intent rose. His sword hummed softly and beams of sharp sword qi shot towards Xian Yanqing. He was at the peak of the 4th level of the martial ancestor realm. Lan Yunfei's cultivation had already reached the peak of the 4th level martial ancestor realm. No wonder he was second only to the geniuses on the Cloud Emperor ranking. On the Cloud Emperor ranking, the few people who were ranked at the bottom were only at the early stage of the 5th level of the martial ancestor realm. Who can you kill? Xian Yanqing sneered as a powerful aura burst out from his body. Martial Ancestor 4 Dan later stage. During this period of time, Xian Yanqing's progress was also extremely shocking. He fully utilized the advantage of a 7th level king bloodline. Great demonic palm. Xian Yanqing waved his hands and sent out palm prints towards Lan Yunfei. He didn't know what level Xian Yanqing's martial technique was. When she was a martial grandmaster, she used the same martial technique. Now that she was a martial ancestor, she was using the same martial technique. Moreover, as Xian Yanqing's cultivation level increased, the power of this martial skill became more and more terrifying. Boom! Boom! In an instant, the palm print and the sword light collided 8 times in a row, producing 8 loud bangs. Of course, in their moves, they had deliberately compressed their true energy and did not let it spread out. Otherwise, the entire restaurant would have been blown up. To be able to build such a huge restaurant in the Cloud Desolate Empire's imperial capital was not something an ordinary person could do. If he blew it up, it would probably be hard to explain. After 8 moves, Lan Yunfei retreated 8 steps. He was completely at a disadvantage. The other people in the restaurant were dumbfounded. Chapter 357. 357 Chapter 357 Seeing Yang's 6 extremes again. How could an unknown woman of the Burning Sun Empire suppress Lan Yunfei? How was this possible? If the truth wasn't right in front of their eyes, they wouldn't have believed it. Arg! Lan Yunfei's anger soared to the sky. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. With a loud roar, blood light exploded and a sky-blue broadsword appeared. Around the broadsword, there were 2 Esilavir chakras. This was Lan Yunfei's bloodline, a 2nd-level king bloodline. Slash! His bloodline exploded, increasing Lan Yunfei's combat strength by a notch. He slashed at Xian Yanqing. I'm too lazy to play with you. Xian Yanqing's eyes turned cold as he raised his hand. At this moment, a jade-like hand also condensed in the air. This hand wasn't real. It was at least 10 times bigger than Xian Yanqing's hand. It was perfect, like the most perfect work of art. Just like Xian Yanqing's hand, it was in the shape of a flower and full of demonic charm. Break! Immediately, Xian Yanqing shouted and flicked his flower-pinching fingers. Bang! The blade light of Lan Yunfei's slash was instantly destroyed. The finger force did not stop and shot toward Lan Yunfei. Lan Yunfei's expression changed drastically. It was too late for him to dodge, so he could only block with his saber. With a boom, Lan Yunfei groaned and retreated more than 10 meters. He crashed into a few tables before he could stabilize himself. Blood spurted out of his mouth. "Sisigu!" Gasps could be heard all around. Xian Yanqing was too strong. Lan Yunfei was no match for him even before his bloodline was activated. Other than Qiu Changkong, when did the Blazing Sun Empire have such a powerful genius? "Get down!" Xian Yanqing shouted again and pressed his palm down. That huge hand also pressed down at the same time, pressing down towards Lan Yunfei. Lan Yunfei bellowed in anger. He exploded with all his strength and slashed upward. But with a bang, the blade light was instantly destroyed, and the palm pressed down without stopping. Lan Yunfei roared. Buzz! At this moment, there was an air-piercing sound at the top of the stairs. A figure rushed up like lightning and arrived in front of Lan Yunfei. He threw a punch upward. Boom! The air wave swept out, and the fist force and palm disappeared. At this time, everyone saw that there was already one more person in front of Lan Yunfei. It's him? Yang 6 Extremes. 33rd on the Cloud Emperor ranking, Yang Liuji from the Blood Zhao Empire's Great Sun Sect. Could he be the one Lan Yunfei invited? Upon seeing who it was, the crowd exclaimed in shock once more. It's actually him? Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. Back in the ruins of the Cloud Emperor Palace, Lu Ming had fought with Yang Liuji. In the end, Lu Ming defeated Yang Liuji with the help of the golden-eyed blood corpse. Xian Yanqing was also stunned as he also recognized Yang Liuji. On the other hand, Feng Wuji and Ling Yanqi's expressions changed drastically. The Scorching Sun Empire and the Blood Zhao Empire were close to each other, and the name of Yang Liuji had long since reverberated in their ears. Brother Yang, you've finally come. Seeing Yang Liuji, Lan Yunfei was overjoyed. Brother Lan, I'm sorry I'm late. Yang Liuji said as he looked around. The moment he saw Xian Yanqing and Lu Ming, he was stunned. Then, his eyes flashed with a cold, killing intent. Little bastard, is that you? Ha, good, you've really worn out your iron shoes in a long search, but you've found it without any effort. Since I've encountered you today, then don't leave. Yang Liuji revealed a sinister smile. When he came out of the Yun Emperor Palace, he wanted to ask the senior masters of the Great Sun Mansion to kill Lu Ming, but Lu Ming escaped too quickly. He searched around the Yun Emperor Palace but could not find Lu Ming. During this period of time, he hated Lu Ming to the core. He did not expect to meet him here. He was so ecstatic that he almost laughed out loud. What's wrong? You've been defeated, are you looking for a beating again? Lu Ming said indifferently. The crowd was stunned. From Lu Ming's tone, could it be that Yang Liuji had lost to Lu Ming before? No way? If that was the case, wasn't the Burning Sun Empire a little too terrifying? Nonsense, you little bastard. Back then, you only relied on external forces and a puppet. Now that your puppet is gone, I'll kill you in 3 moves. Yang Liuji shouted and hurriedly corrected Lu Ming's words. The others came to a realization. It turned out that Lu Ming had relied on external forces. No wonder. It was useless if it was not one's own ability. They let out a long breath. If even a small empire like the Burning Sun Empire was this strong, how could they bear it? Kill me in 3 moves? Just you? Aren't you afraid of laughing your head off? Lu Ming continued to say indifferently. This kind of indifferent attitude made Yang Liuji's anger rise. You're looking for death. You're courting death. Yang Liuji roared, his body emitting a scorching aura that made the restaurant look like a furnace. Xian Yanqing moved and stood in front of Yang Liuji. Little Qing, there's no need for you to deal with him. Let me play with him. Lu Ming picked up a glass of wine and finished it in 1 gulp. He then stood up and walked towards Yang Liuji. Hurry up and finish it, we haven't finished our meal. Xian Yanqing glanced at Lu Ming and went back to his seat. His tone was casual, as if Lu Ming could easily deal with Yang Liuji. This caused the surrounding people to be dumbfounded. Ha, I know you're concerned about me and worried that the food won't taste good if it's cold. Don't worry, I'll deal with him. The food won't get cold. Lu Ming laughed. The others' lips trembled. These two were both more confident than the other. They were still thinking about eating, and the dishes wouldn't even get cold. Please, your opponent is the genius on the Cloud Emperor ranking, Yang Liuji, not some random cat or dog on the side of the road. Crazy, too crazy. Yang Liuji almost vomited blood, feeling his heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys throb in pain. He took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. It's useless to rely on your mouth. You'll soon pay the price for your stupidity. Yang Liuji roared, and the scorching aura around his body became even more intense. His entire body was like a sun, and he almost set the restaurant on fire. This place is too narrow, let's go out and fight. Lu Ming said. Good, just what I want. Yang Liuji shouted angrily. The two of them flew out of the window and appeared in the sky above the small lake. At this time, it had already alerted the people on the other floors of the restaurant, and they all looked out one by one. That's Yang Liuji. Yang Liuji is going to fight someone. Who is the other person? Is he also a genius on the Cloud Emperor ranking? No, there's no such person on the Cloud Emperor ranking. He's so young, he looks less than 20 years old. This person actually dared to fight Yang Liuji. This is going to be a good show. The people on the other floors of the restaurant were discussing. Die. And NBSP, kill. The moment they left the restaurant, Yang Liuji roared, his aura exploding. Wuzong 5 Dan Peak. Obviously, Yang Liuji's cultivation had also improved during this period of time. Back in the ruins of the Cloud Emperor Palace, Yang Liuji's cultivation was only at the early stage of the 5th level of Martial Ancestor Realm. Boom! The powerful fire force exploded, making Yang Liuji look like a small sun. It emitted an extremely hot aura, and the lake water below began to boil, filling the air with mist. Divine Sun Fist. Yang Liuji roared and threw a punch at Lu Ming. Chapter 358. 358 Settling it in one move. A fist radiance that was as bright as the sun was aimed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming struck out with his palm and a huge palm print appeared, clashing with the fist radiance. After a loud boom, the fist radiance and palm print dissipated. One move. Lu Ming muttered. Didn't Yang Liuji say he would kill him in 3 moves? He helped him calculate. Yang Liuji's expression changed. Lu Ming could actually block one of his moves. His gaze turned serious. Fist of the Great Divine Sun, fist radiance shatters the sky. Yang Liuji roared again and threw a punch. This punch was even more terrifying. It was like a sun falling down. Yang Liuji, who had reached the peak of the 5th stage of martial arts Grandmaster Realm, had extremely terrifying combat power. An ordinary warrior at the peak of the 7th stage of martial arts Grandmaster Realm would probably only have this kind of combat power. Beast Palm. Lu Ming struck out another palm. A huge beast claw appeared and grabbed at the sun-like fist energy. The sun-like fist force was like a pitiful little flame that was extinguished by the beast's claw. 2 moves. Lu Ming said again. The people watching the battle were stunned, especially those on the 5th floor. Lu Ming could actually fight with Yang Liuji. This was too unbelievable. The Blazing Sun Empire was too terrifying. Experts were emerging one after another. Arg! Damn it, Divine Fist of the Great Sun, incinerating the world. Yang Liuji roared in anger and used his strongest move. At the same time, his bloodline power exploded. His bloodline was also at the 2nd level of the King tier. Walala! The lake water below churned and actually boiled. A shocking fist radiance came crashing down on Lu Ming from above. Break! Lu Ming said softly. A long spear appeared in his hand and he thrust it upward. Chi-chi! The long spear pierced through Yang Liuji's fist radiance. Lu Ming's body rushed past it and flew into the sky. 3 moves, Yang Liuji, you said you'd kill me in 3 moves, but it turns out that you want to kill me with just the power to scratch an itch? What a joke! Lu Ming said contemptuously. Damn it, how did this little bastard become so strong? How is that possible? Yang Liuji roared in his heart, his expression extremely ugly. He stared at Lu Ming and said coldly, I'll let you go today and we'll fight another day. With that, she wanted to leave. Another day? Did I say another day? You want to leave after a fight? How can there be such a good thing in the world? Stay here. Lu Ming said coldly. A terrifying aura enveloped Yang Liuji. What do you want to do? Do you still want to make a move on me? How dare you? I'm a disciple of the Great Sun Mansion, do you understand? I'm a disciple of the Great Sun Mansion. Yang Liuji roared. And NBSP, you don't need to repeat that you are a disciple of Great Sun Prefecture. Great Sun Prefecture is none of my business. I don't care where you are from. Just take one of my attacks and you'll die. Lu Ming bellowed, his aura was wild as he pulled the long spear downward. Boom! A spear light that was hundreds of meters long, carrying the power of wind and fire, came down on Yang Liuji. While the spear radiance was still in the air, the lake below was suppressed by the force of the air. The lake water split into 2, and a waterless zone that was a few hundred meters long appeared. It had the same shape as the spear radiance. You coward! Yang Liuji roared and used all his strength to punch the air a dozen times in an attempt to block the spear radiance. However, it was useless. The dozen or so fist lights were like fireworks and collapsed in one strike. The spear radiance's momentum did not stop as it heavily smashed into Yang Liuji's body. Yang Liuji's body was like a cannonball, falling towards the lake. Boom! He fell heavily into the lake, causing huge waves. Even the ground shook, and a whirlpool appeared on the surface of the lake. Everyone saw that Yang Liuji had smashed a deep hole in the bottom of the lake, and the lake water had completely flooded Yang Liuji. This fuck. The surrounding spectators were all dumbfounded. And NBSP, this was too violent. He had defeated Yang Liuji with one move and Yang Liuji had no chance to fight back. Especially the spectators on the 5th level. Their mouths were so wide open that they could practically swallow a chicken. This is crazy. The Burning Sun Empire is crazy. How can there be so many talented warriors? That's right. The Burning Sun Empire has always been ranked at the bottom of the list. It's unbelievable that so many geniuses have been born. The people on the 5th floor shouted in disbelief. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure rushed into the lake and came out again the next moment. It was Lan Yunfei. He was holding Yang Liuji in his arms. Yang Liuji's body was covered in blood, and his face was pale. Blood was dripping from his mouth, and his eyes were full of disbelief, shame, and anger. Previously, he had boasted shamelessly that he would kill Lu Ming in 3 moves. In the end, Lu Ming easily received his 3 moves. Not only that, but he had also beaten him half to death in 1 move. This made him want to find a hole to hide in. If you don't have the strength, then keep a low profile. Don't always act like you're the best in the world. It's embarrassing. This time, I'll teach you a lesson. Get lost. Lu Ming waved his hand, as if an elder was lecturing a junior. You win. Yang Liuji was so furious that he spat out another mouthful of blood. Lu Ming, don't be so arrogant. You'd better not run into my big brother during the Ditian Divine Guard selection. Otherwise, you'll die an ugly death. Let's go. Lan Yunfei roared in anger, then his figure soared into the sky. Lu Ming smiled and did not mind. He returned to the restaurant in a flash. Come, let's continue eating. Lu Ming laughed and sat down to eat and drink again. The rest of the people in the restaurant were dumbfounded. Brother Lu, we must guard against the big brother that Lan Yunfei spoke of. Feng Wuji's face turned solemn. That's right, the fifth-ranked genius on the Cloud Emperor board also has the surname Lan. His name is Lan Yundao. I'm pretty sure he's Lan Yunfei's big brother. Ling Yanqi's expression was also serious. Although Lu Ming's combat strength was strong, they did not think that Lu Ming could be a match for those who were ranked at the top of the Cloud Emperor ranking. Those people were too powerful. They were all monsters. Fifth on the Cloud Emperor ranking. Lu Ming's eyes flickered and his lips curled into a smile. He did not mind and continued to eat and drink. After a short while, the four of them left the restaurant and found an inn to stay in. There were still 3 days before the Ditian Divine Guard's preliminary competition. At this moment, news of Xian Yanqing, Lu Ming, Lan Yunfei, and Yang Liuji's battle spread quickly. Many people were shocked and secretly sighed. There were so many geniuses these days, and yet another unknown genius had risen. In a room in the inn, Lu Ming sat cross-legged and thought about the battle. Speaking of which, this was the first time that Lu Ming had a direct battle with a genius on the Cloud Emperor ranking. Although he appeared confident on the surface, he did not dare to underestimate his opponent. Yang Liuji was only ranked 33rd on the Cloud Emperor list, but his cultivation had already reached the peak of the 5th stage of Martial Ancestor Realm. His combat strength was comparable to an ordinary peak of the 7th stage of Martial Ancestor Realm. In that case, how strong were the geniuses at the top of the rankings? Especially the geniuses in the top 10, how strong were they? Lu Ming did not dare to underestimate his opponent. My biggest disadvantage now is that my cultivation is low. I'm only at the peak of the 4th level of the Martial Ancestor Realm. I have to find a way to break through as soon as possible. Lu Ming pondered secretly. After a few months of polishing, Lu Ming's foundation had long been stable. As long as there was enough energy, Lu Ming's cultivation would be able to break through. Dragon Emperor's Road to Eternity. Chapter 359. 359 The Gathering of Geniuses. Lu Ming immediately circulated the true War Dragon technique and began to temper his essential qi. A day passed in the blink of an eye. On the evening of the second day, the people from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace actually came to find them. They had sent an invitation letter for the Ditian Divine Guard selection. It was for Xian Yanqing. It seemed that the news of Xian Yanqing's defeat of Lan Yunfei yesterday had already spread to the higher-ups of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. That was why they had sent an invitation letter. With Xian Yanqing's combat strength, he was fully qualified to receive an invitation. The next 2 days were peaceful and no one disturbed Lu Ming and the rest. In the blink of an eye, it was time for the Ditian Divine Guard's preliminary round. The Ditian Divine Guard preliminaries were to select a group of elites from the geniuses who had received invitations from the 36 countries of Emperor Yun. Only this group of people would be qualified to participate in the final selection of the Ditian Divine Guards. The gathering place for the preliminaries was in front of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace's residence in the Cloud Desolate Imperial Capital. Early in the morning, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Feng Wuji, and Ling Yanqi headed to the assembly point. The Emperor Heaven Divine Palace's residence in the Cloud Desolate Empire's imperial capital was extremely grand and majestic. It was even more majestic than the Cloud Desolate Imperial Palace. In front of the mansion, there was a wide square. When Lu Ming and the rest arrived, the square was already surrounded by people. Most of them were people who came to watch the show. However, there were not many people in the square. This was because there were people from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace guarding the square. Only the geniuses participating in the preliminaries could step on it. If anyone else were to step in rashly and was discovered, they would be killed without mercy. No one dared to take the risk. When the four of them arrived, they walked directly to the square. "Guys, look, there's a genius from the preliminaries here. 2 of them look so young. Which empire are they from?" "I don't know him, he's a complete stranger." "I know. I saw them a few days ago. The youngest man and woman are the two who defeated Yang Liuji and Lan Yunfei 3 days ago. They are the geniuses from the Burning Sun Empire. The surrounding crowd was discussing when someone suddenly shouted, "What? It's them, just like the rumors, they're really that young. I thought the rumors were exaggerated. I can't believe that the Blazing Sun Empire has produced such a genius." In the past few days, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing's names had spread throughout the Cloud Wilderness imperial capital. Many people were very curious and they looked at Lu Ming and the other three. The four of them had also seen big scenes before, so their expressions didn't change. They walked to the square and stood at the side. "It seems that we came too early." Feng Wuji chuckled. "It's a good opportunity for me to meet the other geniuses." Ling Yanqi's eyes were filled with excitement. Time slowly passed and more people came. Without a doubt, they were all young people, all under the age of 30. Most of them were in their 20s, and there were very few under the age of 20. "Look, that's Lu Xiaofeng, who is ranked 35th on the Cloud Emperor ranking list." Suddenly, someone pointed at a yellow-robed young man and shouted. "Also, that's Wang Kai, who is ranked 26th on the Cloud Emperor board." "Oh my god, that's Su Yingying, who is ranked 13th on the Cloud Emperor board. I've long heard that Su Yingying is a devastatingly beautiful woman. Now that I've seen her today, I see that she is indeed worthy of her reputation." With the arrival of the geniuses on the Cloud Emperor ranking list, the audience was excited. The 36 countries of Emperor Yun were vast, but there were only 36 people on the Emperor Yun list. Usually, the geniuses on the Cloud Emperor ranking were scattered all over the place. It was hard to see them at all. But now they had seen so many people at once, and everyone was excited. Even Feng Wuji and Ling Yanqi's eyes lit up as they started to size up the geniuses on the Cloud Emperor board. Soon, no less than 300 people had gathered in the square, and the number was still increasing. This made Lu Ming sigh with emotion. Only geniuses on the same level as the 6 heroes of the Scorching Sun could receive an invitation. However, hundreds of such geniuses had arrived. Lu Ming suddenly felt a murderous intent enveloping him. He could not help but turn around to look. The corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile. So it was the 6 extremes of Yang. After not seeing him for a few days, Yang Liuji's injuries had almost recovered. He was looking at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. Beside Yang Liuji was a tall young man. He was wearing the same clothes as Yang Liuji and was obviously from the Blood Zhao's Great Sun House. He was also staring at Lu Ming with an unfriendly look. "Yang Liuji is here. The one beside him, is he the number 1 expert among the younger generation of the Great Sun House, Yan Feishuan?" "It's definitely him." Yan Feishuan, ranked 9th on the Cloud Emperor ranking list. Exclamations of shock came from the surroundings. The top 10 geniuses on the Cloud Emperor ranking list had finally appeared. It was as if Yan Feishuan's arrival was the start of the event that had happened 10 days ago. In the air, a blue light flashed and 2 figures appeared in the square. One of the 2 blue-robed young men was Lan Yunfei. The other man was tall and had a saber on his back. He had a wild aura. Lan Yunfei and Lan Yundao. The 5th-ranked Lan Yundao has arrived. There was another round of exclamations in the surroundings. As soon as Lan Yunfei and Lan Yundao arrived, they swept their gazes across the surroundings. In the next moment, they discovered Lu Ming and the rest. The 2 of them strode toward Lu Ming and the rest. There's a good show to watch. The crowd's gaze was fixed on Lan Yundao and Lu Ming. The geniuses on the square were also watching with interest. Very soon, Lan Yunfei and Lan Yundao were not far from Lu Ming and the rest. "You two are Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing." Lan Yundao's gaze fell on Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. He did not hide the murderous intent in his eyes. "That's right. I didn't expect to be so famous now." Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not care. Xian Yanqing pouted and didn't even bother to reply. Seeing this, Lan Yundao's face darkened and he said coldly, You dare to beat up my Blue Blade family's people, you're really bold. However, those who dared to beat up my Blue Blade family's people are no longer in this world. Oh really? Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue when you talk big? The world is so big and there are so many experts. There are also many people who can destroy your family with a flick of their hands. You even said that the people who dared to attack your Blue Blade family are no longer in this world. You really have no shame in talking big. Lu Ming said indifferently, his voice full of ridicule. What did you just say? Lan Yundao was furious. Brother Lan, there's no need to waste words with them. Just attack and kill them. At this moment, Yan Feishuan walked over and said with a murderous look. You want to kill me? Why don't you try? Lu Ming's eyes were filled with killing intent and a powerful aura rose from his body. Xian Yanqing, Feng Wuji, and Ling Yanqi walked to Lu Ming's side and glared at Yan Feishuan, Lan Yundao, and the rest. The battle was about to begin. This place doesn't allow a great battle. Anyone who violates this rule will be killed. Suddenly, a middle-aged man shouted loudly, and a mountain-like pressure rose from his body. This burly man was a guard of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. Lan Yundao and Yan Feishuan's expressions changed and they withdrew their qi. Lu Ming and the group also retracted their aura. I'll let you off today. Lu Ming, I hope you can pass the preliminaries smoothly. At that time, I'll let you know the consequences of offending the Blue Blade family in the Ditian Divine Guard selection. Lan Yundao said coldly before he turned around and left with Lan Yunfei. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.